Okay, that should do it. Welcome, everyone. Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here, Meteorologist Andrew DePaulo joining me this evening as well. We are starting our coverage here just before 7 o'clock, and we've got a pretty high-end severe weather risk unfolding across our area over the next couple of hours. We should be pretty much out of the woods in most of our areas sometime during the 9 o'clock hour, we think, but certainly in the next couple of hours things will be quite busy, because as we zoom out here and take a look at the big picture, I'm going to put a radar loop on this. We've got a big mean line of showers and storms coming ashore from Lake Erie and impacting parts of northwest Ohio as well. This has had a history of producing a lot of severe weather in parts of Michigan, Indiana, across into Ontario, and of course this has been a very prolific lightning producer coming across Lake Erie over the last couple of hours. Now, in our television viewing area, as of 6:47, we do have one severe thunderstorm warning that clips far northern Trumbull County. This is for the stuff that came ashore a little while ago, and there might be some small hailstones in this, and certainly some gusty winds up towards Bloomfield and across the county line into Ashtabula County, closer to Route 6 and 322, Orwell area, heading over towards Colebrook and eventually Andover as well, Cherry Valley. A lot of the wineries up near Geneva are getting hit pretty hard right now. And again, just take a look at all the lightning that is ongoing with these storms as they come in. Just to get you caught up in case you haven't been in touch with the weather a lot today, severe thunderstorm watch, all the counties in yellow, and that includes our entire television viewing area, all of eastern Ohio, the panhandle of West Virginia, and a good chunk of Pennsylvania as well. 2/3, almost probably 3/4 of the state of Pennsylvania included in that watch. You may be wondering why the severe thunderstorm watch for most of western PA is in effect until 3 a.m. When the Ohio counties, it expires at 11 p.m. Why the big difference? Well, that's a huge box they issued. It's a big severe thunderstorm watch that extends all the way out into eastern PA. So it's going to take until the middle of the night for a lot of these storms to reach southern Pennsylvania, eastern Pennsylvania. That's why the watch runs until 3 a.m., but they don't put different expiration times on individual watch boxes. So anyway, bottom line, if you're in Mercer County, Lawrence County, Columbiana County, your severe weather threat will be over long before 3 a.m., and they'll discontinue that watch piecemeal from west to east as we head deeper into the evening. But again, technically that watch for those counties runs until 3 a.m. The watch runs until 11 p.m. for Mahoning and Trumbull counties and points to the west and north. So it's a big area of real estate covered by the severe thunderstorm watch. I mentioned this cluster of storms has had a history of producing quite a bit of wind damage and hail as well, stretching from northern Indiana into northwest Ohio and a good chunk of Michigan. And actually, there's been a couple of kind of renegade or rogue storms up over Erie, PA. There was actually a tornado warning earlier for Erie County, and there were some big hailstones, up here as well. I believe the tornado warning has been discontinued at this point. It's a severe thunderstorm warning up there. And we don't have any current tornado warnings out, but we do have a very high-end severe thunderstorm warning up here, again, close to wine country. Northern Geauga County, western Ashtabula County, eastern parts of Cuyahoga County, parts of Lake County, again, around Geneva, heading down towards Thompson, kind of the heart of the snow belt, if you will. It's, of course, not snow they're getting this evening, but a doozy of a thunderstorm. And you see this little tag on the warning. It says destructive. That's a tag the National Weather Service puts on really high-end severe thunderstorm warnings, storms that can produce the kind of damage that is commensurate with a low-end tornado. So you hear me sometimes say wind is wind, right? Well, if you have a severe thunderstorm that isn't producing a tornado but is producing 70 or 75 mile per hour winds, that's going to do the same kind of damage, really, as a low-end tornado. And that's why we want you to take severe thunderstorm warnings pretty seriously. So that's a really high-end severe thunderstorm warning up here, closer to the lake shore. Again, down in our viewing area, we are getting some thunder and lightning and some downpours from Warren over towards Vienna, up towards Mosquito Lake, Cortland, Mecca, Kinsman area as well. And where you see some of these brighter returns up near the Ashtabula line, there's probably some hailstones falling out of there as we speak.
Yep, and the National Weather Service, Eric, did continue that severe thunderstorm warning for Trumbull until 7 o'clock. So.
And we have a brand new one, brand new severe thunderstorm warning for all of Mercer County and a good chunk of Lawrence County as well. So here's that brand new warning in effect until 7:45. There it is. They're going to issue these big warning polygons this evening because there's no sense issuing little ones because everyone's going to get about the same kind of weather this evening. And so they just issued a polygon that covers from the state line all the way east of Mercer County. I mean, this is a big polygon that's in effect until 7:45, and it includes all of Mercer County and a good chunk of Lawrence as well. If you're watching from Columbiana County, non-severe thunderstorms pushing across the Stark County line around Minerva, New Franklin, and approaching New Garden here pretty soon. Heads up over towards Guilford Lake and Lisbon, places like that. So this is coming across. This is non-severe. This is kind of a garden variety thunderstorm complex, but certainly you want to pay attention to it if you happen to be outdoors or you know someone who is outdoors. And speaking of knowing someone, as we go through the next couple of hours, if you're watching this stream, you're interested in what's going on and you have the ability and the time to watch this, but not everyone has that ability. They may be at work, they may be too busy to pay close attention to the weather. So help us out and help communicate this information to friends and family. Send them a text. Hey, severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. Now's the time to take shelter, because believe me, it'd be nice. We'd love it if everyone watched this, but that's not the case. A lot of people are too busy to pay a whole lot of attention. But if you're watching this, you can be a good resource for those who maybe are not in the know when it comes to severe weather. And we haven't had much practice at this over the last couple of months. You've probably heard myself or Andrew talk about the lack of severe weather so far in the spring and early summer season. We haven't had a bona fide severe weather day in our area since April 5th. It's been a long time since that first week of April. I mean, the trees were barely budding at that point. But we had a couple of high wind events, of course, at the end of March and the start of April, but it's been very, very quiet ever since. All right, so here's where the main cluster of storms is. I'm actually going to take off the warning information, make this a little bit cleaner, and we'll put this in motion and zoom out a little bit. So here's kind of the broad view. You can see that everything looks a little meaner off to our north than to our west, but still, this activity in western Ohio does mean some business. But there is a little bit of a gap as well, kind of right in through here, where there's not much in the way of severe weather from Mansfield north and west. This is bad news here, this is bad news up here, but a little bit of a gap in between. So we're hoping parts of that gap move through our area, preventing quite as much severe weather in our entire area. But that remains to be seen. It's a little too early to make that call. All right, so let's stop the loop and we'll show you some arrival times here, because this is one of the big questions we get during severe weather. What time is it going to come here? What time is it going to come there? We can't answer all those questions when we're busy doing the live stream, but we try to call out as many cities as we can, as many locales as we can. Do we have on that most recent warning, what did they put the forward speed of that as?
For Trumbull or for Mercer? For Trumbull?
Yeah, well, I see Mercer's 45.
Yep. Let's see here. Let's see if it says it in the discussion.
See, Geauga and Lake is 30. So there's a little bit of difference in some of these warning texts. Let's split the difference and say 40. Everything's kind of moving like this. So it's just some approximate arrival times here. And again, if your city is not listed, do a little extrapolation. If you're near one of these cities, you can safely guess that you'll be, kind of in the ballpark here as far as times go. But in the heart of our viewing area, from Warren down to Youngstown, we're talking about the 8 o'clock hour mostly. As far as the main line, now of course there's thunderstorms here and there right now, but as far as timing the main mean-looking line off to our north, we're heading into the 8 o'clock hour for the heart of our viewing area, maybe closer to 9 once you're down towards Canfield, and into the 9 o'clock hour down into Columbiana County. And again, over in western PA, I think this will be particularly bad from about 7:30 to 9 o'clock, 9:30 at the latest, as far as the main line goes. But there are some storms ahead of that main line, certainly. We just talked about what's in western Columbiana County, but we're getting some pretty mean-looking thunderstorms right now in Trumbull County as well. I'm going to look at my off-camera radar source here, and yeah, there's probably a little pea-size hail right up here, the northern end of Mosquito Lake. Don't think it's anything big. Probably some bigger hailstones up here in Ashtabula County, just east of Orwell near 322 and Route 6. But maybe some pea-size hail falling in northern Trumbull right now. Also noting, it's kind of interesting, Andrew, a little bit perhaps of rotation. Maybe just a little bit. It's it's pretty diffuse. But there may be just a touch of rotation trying to form in this zone. Mecca area, northern end of Mosquito Lake. Don't think it's anything to be too concerned about right now, but we'll keep a close eye on that. And that's going to be something we'll be keeping a close eye on throughout the evening. These storms will have a capability of producing damaging winds, large hail, but we can't rule out isolated tornadic activity as well. There's enough wind shear in the atmosphere to produce that kind of a thing.
And there are, I know this is off camera, there are some, real isolated tornado or rotation tracks rather, moving through the Southington, Bristol area, Gustavus area, so around that general vicinity that you just brought up as well. And those are pretty scarce, but still worth noting.
Yeah. I don't think it's anything to be too worried about right now, but there's a little bit perhaps of rotation at the very top of Mosquito Lake, heading over towards Gustavus as well. All right. So welcome everyone who's just joining us. We're approaching the top of the hour here at 7 o'clock. And for those just joining us, and if you're going to watch this for a while, you're going to hear me repeat myself a little bit, but I understand that people are jumping in and out of the stream. Just to recap, as we hit the top of the hour here, severe thunderstorm watch for all of eastern Ohio, all of western PA for the rest of the evening. It will be discontinued well before its original expiration time, especially in western PA, where technically it's in effect until the middle of the night tonight, but that's because it's a big watch that covers almost the entire state of Pennsylvania. So it'll be discontinued well before that. So severe thunderstorm watch for everyone. Currently at 7 o'clock, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for northern Trumbull County and all of Mercer County and a good chunk of Lawrence as well. Now in Lawrence and Mercer, especially eastern Mercer, we don't have anything really nearby right now, but that'll change. Everything's moving pretty quickly. And you can see we've got a lot of bad news up to our north with a lot of prolific lightning-producing storms. And thankfully, right now, the bigger hailstones are out of our viewing area and more centered up into Ashtabula County. Down in our television viewing area, which we cover 5 counties, Trumbull County is getting hit the hardest right now.
That was another severe thunderstorm warning for Trumbull County until 8:15.
There it is, the new warning. So basically all of Trumbull now under a severe thunderstorm warning. It was just kind of the northern 25% a little while ago. Now if you're watching from anywhere in Trumbull County, we have a severe thunderstorm warning. And notice the tag on that again. It's a considerable tag, which is more than just a generic severe thunderstorm warning. It means that this has a higher end potential, perhaps winds up to 60 miles per hour, perhaps hailstones of 1 inch in diameter or larger, although I'm not seeing much evidence right now on the radar of really big hailstones, especially in the southern part of the county. We're probably getting some decent size hail up here in northern Trumbull County, Mecca area, and then heading up Route 11 closer to the Ashtabula line, the Route 87 corridor as well. We'll do a little, let's do a little slice here. Show you a little bit of a 3D view. And you can see how tall these updrafts are. We're seeing big reflectivity values all the way up to 50,000 feet or so. These are big, tall thunderstorms. And big, tall thunderstorms can tap into some really cold air up in the atmosphere, several thousand feet, tens of thousands of feet. And hailstones can form pretty easily when you have the right conditions. So, yeah, I think we're seeing some decent-sized hail at this point for northern Trumbull County, hence the severe thunderstorm warning that was just expanded to include more of the county, but again, we're focused mostly right now on the northern part of Trumbull County. Mecca, Johnston, Gustavus, again, the northern end of Mosquito Lake, and then up towards the Ashtabula line as well. The other most active weather in our viewing area as we speak is a fairly garden variety non-severe storm that's pushing through Salem, heading down towards Hanoverton right now, the New Garden area. And this will be coming across towards Guilford Lake on 172 and 30 here momentarily, heads up towards Lisbon. Again, non-severe, but you certainly don't want to be caught under that if you or you know someone that is outdoors right now, especially if they're on the lake. We don't want anybody being on the water for the rest of the evening with all this lightning out there. That's one of the most dangerous places to be when we have a lot of lightning in our vicinity. All right, so one of our spotters, Tyler, just tweeted that it looks to be a wall cloud near Mecca. Maybe. A little bit hard to tell, but it might be. Thanks to Tyler Berry on Twitter for that. I mentioned a moment ago, perhaps a little broad rotation with that. And yeah, I'm still seeing that a little bit. We're getting pretty far from the radar source here, but right there, where Tyler just tweeted from, right around Route 11 right now.
Yeah, that's certainly picked up a little bit more since the last time we've showed this scan.
Yeah.
So it is developing a little bit, still a little ragged, but still better than the last time.
Yeah, it's ragged, but it definitely is worth paying attention to. Again, this is northern Trumbull County, a little rotation spotted near Gustavus, heads up in Kinsman, and the closer you are to the Ashtabula line, heads up there as well. This is moving around Route 87 right now, heading through Gustavus, heading towards Kinsman, up towards Williamsfield, again up into Ashtabula County. Some broad rotation here, and we just saw a little pictorial evidence of that. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, let me see if I can actually show that to you. Yeah, this is the picture submitted by Tyler Berry, who's up there tracking these storms in Trumbull County. Perhaps a lowering, perhaps a little bit of a wall cloud right there. And he says this was near Mecca. So, again, thanks to Tyler for that. We're going to keep a close eye on that, certainly.
The other interesting little pocket to maybe pay attention to outside of our viewing area, but moving out of Ashtabula County over towards Andover, Linesville, that looking a little ragged on Cleveland's velocity scan, but Pittsburgh's is looking a little healthy. I mean, still very, very far away from both.
Right.
But,
yeah. Yeah, this is way on the edge of Pittsburgh's radar here, but you definitely see a little bit of greens and reds there next together, a little bit of a couplet trying to form, but boy, this is tough because you're in a real radar hole
right.
once you get up towards the state line up in northwestern PA. So that'll be interesting to see as that moves into Crawford County, what the National Weather Service decides to do with that. Here's the what's trying to be a little bit of rotation. I'll put a little bit of a loop on this and make it real slow so we can track this. Yeah, right around Mecca, or just north of Mecca, north of Route 88, just east of 46, and right around Route 11 right now. Again, this is the radar beam is sampling the storm way up there, 6,000-7,000 feet above the ground. And so it becomes a tougher call when you get away from the radar source because the Earth is curved. That radar beam gains elevation as it moves out from the radar site, and it becomes a little bit of a tougher call as to whether any of this rotation is just aloft or is it near the ground as well.
And the National Weather Service in Pittsburgh just continued that severe thunderstorm warning for Lawrence and Mercer, as well as Venango, Butler, and Forest until 7:45.
All right, so yeah, that's a warning that includes all of Mercer County, the entire county, and as you can see, everyone in Lawrence except for the southeastern corner. So in Lawrence, this does include Newcastle, New Wilmington, Pulaski, places like that. But if you're in Mercer County, everyone in the county is under that warning for another 40 minutes until 7:45. Down in Mahoning County, we've got a big population center, of course, down here. Nothing severe at the moment. Some rain, some lightning in the southern horizon, no doubt, and the northern horizon. But nothing severe in Canfield, Boardman, Struthers, Poland right now, with a more garden variety storm down near the Columbiana County line. Just moved through Salem, getting set to impact Columbiana, getting set to head into Latonia. And again, this is coming into Guilford Lake near 172 and Route 30 down there in Columbiana County.
It's impressive, too, the pocket of lightning that's moving across southern Ashtabula County.
Yep.
I'm going to put a query on that real quick. I mean, that's, 172 total strikes, but positive strikes are 144.
Yep.
We've seen pockets of, over, 2,500 strikes total when this line was moving through the Flint area and mainly over the western half of Lake Erie.
Yeah, these have been prolific lightning producers, and we haven't done severe coverage very often of late, but sometimes we talk about the difference on our display here, the difference between positive voltage strikes and negative voltage strikes. We like to differentiate between the two because while all lightning is dangerous, the lightning strikes that carry a positive voltage tend to be more dangerous. They tend to hit things on the ground more, they tend to have a higher voltage, and the proportion of positive voltage strikes is usually not as high as it is tonight. We've got a big proportion, or a big percentage of the total lightning strikes that are positive voltage. And again, really centered up over Ashtabula right now. Let's do another radar loop, show you the general motion of things. All right, so again, severe thunderstorm warning for this action pushing into Mercer. For a lot of our viewing area, in Ohio anyway, and especially down in Mahoning and Columbiana, it's this activity out here that is going to be more aimed towards you. This initial batch is moving a little more like this, but if you're watching from the 224 corridor, the Youngstown area, heading down into Columbiana County, it's the activity that's still well off to the north and west that will eventually become a little bit more of a concern. I'm going to check in again on that Trumbull County.
It definitely looks interesting, right in there.
Yeah.
Around the Mosquito Lake area, Mecca, Gustavus, Johnstown, Kinsman.
Yeah, and it looks pretty broad and ragged on the radar,
right.
But we'll pay close attention to it. It may be trying to even tighten up a little bit because our red here is getting a little bit brighter just east of Mecca, and coming into Gustavus right now. So this, it bears watching for sure. So if you're watching us from the northeastern corner of Trumbull County, especially Gustavus over to Kinsman and anywhere near there, or over towards Jamestown and Greenville, up into northwestern Mercer near the Crawford County line, pay close attention to this because while no tornado warning has been issued for this, we have seen a little pictorial evidence from one of our spotters of a potential wall cloud, and we do have some evidence on the radar that we're seeing some rotation within that cell that's coming towards Kinsman in Gustavus right now. At the very least, we do have some hail falling out of that cell. Some decent-sized hail coming into Kinsman right now. Now just north and east of Mecca. This hail product is a few minutes behind, so the hail core now is a little more like here. Again, everything is getting very close to the Ashtabula line. And so we've got a doozy of a storm up here northeastern Trumbull with hail coming out of this and a little rotation being observed as well. This section of the storm that we're paying pretty close attention to is moving to the east at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. So this section that we're focused on in northeastern Trumbull, this is heading towards extreme northwest Mercer and eventually a lot of southern Crawford as well. And it'll be out of our viewing area for the most part. The part that we're paying pretty close attention to right now, it'll be out of our viewing area before too much longer.
Seems like, based on what the National Weather Service in Cleveland is saying, that they are worried about these pockets of high winds, something we've talked about all day, and something you mentioned at the top of the stream, how thunderstorms containing these pockets of high wind can really be equal to a low-end tornado, pack a punch with those downbursts, those microbursts, as we often talk about. Some of these, not in our viewing area, but Avon is the one that they cited, some downburst winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour, which will pack a punch and provide some damage for that area.
Yeah, for sure. And, every time we cover severe weather, anytime we have a wind event, we see a lot of comments, people certain a tornado came through because it was really windy and there was some damage. And, yeah, just a reminder, wind is wind, and tornado or not, a 65 or 70 mile per hour wind is going to do some work. And so in a downburst or a straight line wind situation, you can have some pretty strong winds, and this is one of those nights that's going to be like that, where these have a high-end potential of producing winds of 65 plus miles per hour, even in the absence of any tornado. Now, the last scan or two of this northeastern Trumbull cell, the rotation looks pretty ragged. Again, we're sampling this storm way high. I mean, the radar beam is about 5,000 feet, 6,000 feet almost off the ground in northeastern Trumbull from the Cleveland radar source. So again, we're sampling the middle of the storm, but we've seen a little pictorial evidence that there may be a wall cloud associated with this coming into Kinsman right now. So a little broad rotation right there in the northeastern corner of Trumbull, and some hail as well. In the rest of Trumbull County, heads up, we have more storms incoming, moving through Bloomfield, Mesopotamia right now. If you're watching from Farmington, from Southington, down towards Newton Falls, this activity that's over Geauga County has a considerable tag on it. It is strong to severe, especially the northern half of Trumbull. You're under the gun here in the next half an hour or so. Down in the middle of our viewing area, in the southern part of our viewing area, we're just getting a little appetizer right now from Columbiana on south. Non-severe storms pushing through. It's going to take a little while before you see much this evening in terms of a severe threat anyway, in places like Lisbon and Hanoverton and East Palestine, East Liverpool, and even up towards Columbiana and the 224 corridor. It's going to take well into the 8 o'clock hour probably before we see much action getting that far to the south in terms of severe weather. We're getting a little appetizer right now. But the main show is going to be later this evening down there. Let's take a couple of looks outside while we have a chance. This is up in Niles, 422. We're looking kind of almost due west here, across from Eastwood Mall. Darkening skies there. Our other active camera right now is in Youngstown, looking north over the skyline. Now this is up a couple hundred feet on our transmitter tower on the south side of Youngstown, so we get a nice view of the horizon here. The storms are pretty far off to the north, so we're not seeing a whole lot in the way of a lowering cloud base or anything like that from our Youngstown camera. Those Trumbull County storms are just a little bit too far away. Our general risk this evening, if you've been following our coverage on social media especially, we've been talking a lot about these risk categories, and it's basically a scale, a 5-digit scale, 1 to 5. The Storm Prediction Center, which is based in Oklahoma, it's kind of part of NOAA, part of the National Weather Service. They're the ones responsible for issuing these products, the watches, the risk outlooks, and they put our region under a level 3 today, enhanced risk, with their midday update today. This is something we typically only see in our area a couple, maybe 3 times a year. We were under an enhanced risk back in early April with one of the wind events, but it's pretty rare for us to be in a level 3 or above. Level 1, level 2, or slight, those are much more common around here. So, this has, the potential to be a high-end event whenever you see us under one of those risk categories. In fact, this graphic will show you just how often we are under, on average, those risk categories. Now, this is a long-term average. Some years, the numbers are a lot different. We average being in a slight risk 20 to 25 times per year, but it's been much less than that so far this year because, of course, we've had a lack of severe weather over the last few months. Level 4, level 5, almost unheard of around here. Maybe once a year at most, we would be under a moderate risk, level 4. But that is pretty rare stuff. For eastern Ohio, it's a little more common. Where severe weather is a little more common. Western Ohio, out into Indiana, Illinois, places like that. So yeah, this has potential to be a high-end event across our area over the next couple of hours. Now, we're getting into the mid-evening, and we're starting to lose the sun, of course. The overall dynamics, the thermodynamics, if you will, may not be as favorable as we get deeper into the evening. In other words, we're losing the heating of the day. It's starting to cloud up now with these storms approaching, and so the atmosphere maybe not quite as unstable as it was a couple of hours ago when it was in the mid-80s and humid and the sun was shining. So that is one thing that may be going in our favor in terms of putting maybe a lid on the potential this evening. Still big, mean storms, but maybe it could have been worse if these had come through a couple of hours ago. But because of the wind energy aloft, because the atmosphere is still pretty unstable, even though we're getting into the evening, it is very warm and humid out there. This still has the potential to be, a pretty high-end event, even though maybe it would have been worse a couple of hours ago.
And back to the wind, Eric, over Conneaut Lake, there is a real good pocket of wind. Let's see here. Bring it up.
You on the Pittsburgh radar?
This was on Cleveland's radar, but I'll flip over to Pittsburgh's. Real good pocket over that area, but also that same area that we've been watching over Johnston and Kinsman. Still a little ragged, but still kind of continuing to show a little bit of some ragged rotation.
Yep. Here it is right here, right near Kinsman. A hint of a couplet. It's not going to spend much more time in Trumbull County, but again, we're going to keep an eye on this. Right near Kinsman. So heads up in Kinsman right now. And if you are in Kinsman and you can safely take a picture of what the sky looks like right now and send it to us, we'd appreciate it. Now, make sure you can do it safely. We don't want to put anyone in danger. There's probably some hail falling in many backyards right now. But if you can send us a picture on social media, that would be fantastic. The other way to do it that's real easy is via email. The old-fashioned way, weatherpics, P-I-C-S, at WFMJ.com. You can also submit pictures directly on the Storm Tracker 21 app. Scroll down and you'll find the link to do that. So a few different ways to get us some pictures. But yeah, at the very least, some hail and keeping a close eye on continued kind of ragged rotation right around Kinsman. I always like doing these slices to really illustrate, whoops, yeah, there we go. Just how big these storms can get as we get into the summertime, especially. I mean, the top of this storm up into northeastern Trumbull County, we're getting up to 55,000 feet. When you're on an airplane, you're typically flying at about 30 to 35,000 feet. So the tops of these storms are way above that. And just kind of shows you the power of nature, that these storms can get that tall in the sky. And when they get that tall, there's usually a lot of lightning. And because there's a lot of friction up there, there's a lot of hailstones bumping into each other, creating static electricity, and then you can get a lot of lightning. A lot of times when we have storms with a ton of positive voltage strikes, they're usually big hail producers, because that much lightning usually means there's a lot of stuff running into each other up in the clouds. And we're probably seeing some pretty big hailstones and certainly a vivid lightning show and a lot of wind over near Cleveland. It's hard to see even where we are. There's so much lightning covering this. In fact, I'll take the lightning off for just a second. But this is what we aim towards more of our viewing area before the evening is through. And this is up in Cuyahoga County right now, Cleveland area, Parma, North Olmsted, and places like that. In the meantime, fairly routine thunder shower extending from West Point up towards New Middletown and North Lima area, or just south of North Lima, and across the state line. This is nothing to be real concerned about. This is non-severe down here. It's just a little bit of an appetizer. For those just joining us, 7:20, meteorologist Eric Wilhelm and Andrew DePaulo here this evening with our live streaming coverage. Just a reminder, if we do have a tornado warning issued at any point, we'll have to get on TV, and that'll require us to step away from the stream for just a moment and get that set up. Otherwise, we're going to stick with the stream and allow our TV viewers to continue watching uninterrupted on TV. But if a tornado warning were to be issued for anywhere in our viewing area, we would be mandated to get on TV no matter what is showing. And sometimes that's a little bit controversial, especially if it's a weekend and sports is on, or even some primetime programming. Unfortunately, we'll get some hate mail, no doubt. But that's just life in the weather biz. We've got to have a thick skin sometimes. People are going to yell at us. That's just life in the fast lane, All right, so recapping as we hit 7:20, and again, if you're just joining us, so we have severe thunderstorm warnings out for all of Trumbull County, all of Mercer County, and a good chunk of Lawrence as well. Northeastern Trumbull, the worst of the weather right now, although we may see a little bit of weakening going on with that hail-producing storm that's almost out of Trumbull County, far northeastern Trumbull right now. Maybe getting a little bit of hail at this point over towards Bloomfield, closer to Route 45. It's probably just pea size, but 45, 87, up towards Orwell, 322, the Ashtabula line. There's probably a little bit of hail falling out of this, but it's probably pretty small and non-severe. But we're probably getting some pretty gusty winds in here as we speak.
And Eric, we've been talking about that ragged potential couplet that's moving through far eastern Trumbull County and will push through far northwestern Mercer County. The one thing that people maybe don't realize is we're in between two National Weather Service offices, which from warning to warning takes a deal of communication and collaboration between those offices to see, okay, who's warning what. it's an interesting situation when you get on the borders of these National Weather Service offices, especially in a situation like this.
Yeah, it's very true. I mentioned a few moments ago, if you're watching the stream, the radar beam from both the Cleveland source and the Pittsburgh source, which are near the airports, is very high up in the sky by the time it reaches kind of northeastern Trumbull, Ashtabula, especially over towards Erie and Crawford, PA. And so it's a challenge. Now, we have seen over the last scan or two some brighter colors popping on the western side of this couplet. Round Route 5, close to Route 7, around the Kinsman area. So again, this every couple of scans, this wants to perk up a little bit. We have some rotation trying to occur right now, far northeastern Trumbull, perking up just a little bit, and it may be a good idea just in case if you happen to be watching us from far northeastern Trumbull, especially right around Kinsman or anywhere near Kinsman or over towards the state line or up towards the Ashtabula line. Maybe a good idea to be ready in the next handful of minutes to take shelter if needed. I don't think they'll issue a tornado warning for this because it is pretty questionable. It is pretty ragged, but I don't like seeing a brighter polygon right here. See this bright pink or red? Querying it doesn't show a whole lot, but it's just one of those things where it's really tough to ascertain if this is anything to be too concerned about. But there's the most, and then it went away on the most recent scan. So. Every couple of scans it wants to perk up a little bit, but the true center of the rotation now is almost at the state line. So I think we're going to get away okay from that in most of our viewing area. But heads up in northwestern Mercer as well, Greenville north and west. That storm has been wanting to misbehave a little bit.
And as you just said, we're between those two National Weather Service offices, Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and their scans coming from their radars at their airport. We are so far away from those radar spots, but even a ragged potential couple like this in our viewing area, worth noting and paying attention to, even though it doesn't look extremely impressive, maybe compared to a textbook couplet would look somewhere closer to a radar.
Yeah, we have to pay attention to all potential rotation, even if it's pretty broad and ragged. We have to flag it and make sure we're following it, but it is hard in that part of our viewing area, in our northern viewing area, because the radar just is not sampling the lower levels of the storm very well. We haven't done a little bit of a scan or a track of this, I should say, for a little while. Let's give you a little bit of a timeline here as to when to expect some of the worst weather. And these times are going to be approximate, and we can't list every city, of course. But this will just give you kind of an idea as far as the worst of the storms, the main line, if you will. We're looking at mostly the 8 o'clock hour as you head down towards the Mahoning County line, south of Warren especially. Certainly the Youngstown, Boardman, Canfield, Austintown, Struthers area, Salem, Columbiana. We're looking at the 8 o'clock hour. We've got a little ways to go once you're down into that zone. And then once you're down into Columbiana County, it may be into the 9 o'clock hour for Lisbon and Hanoverton and East Palestine and West Point and Salineville and over towards East Liverpool. You got a little ways to go here, even though things are moving at about 40 miles per hour fairly quickly. It's going to take a little while before a lot of this activity pushes down. So again, we can't list every city, but if you're near one of these cities that are listed, it's going to be somewhere in that general time frame as far as that main line of storms pushing through.
And a report from just outside of our viewing area from Cuyahoga County, from the Brooklyn area. National Weather Service former employee reported 1.5-inch diameter hail. Compare that to ping pong size falling in that area. That's Brooklyn and Cuyahoga County.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also, Pittsburgh's office continued that severe thunderstorm warning for Mercer and Lawrence County, and they're just continuing that until 7:45.
Okay. So yeah, there we go. Up to golf ball size hail, at least an inch in diameter, up in Cuyahoga County. And these storms have that high-end potential, certainly this evening. All right, so to recap where our warnings are right now in our viewing area, all of Trumbull, all of Mercer under a warning. That Mercer County warning runs, and Lawrence as well, runs until 7:45. Is that right? Yeah, 7:45. And we have until 8:15 for a lot of Trumbull County for the expiration time of that warning. No warnings currently down in Mahoning County and Columbiana County. And I don't think you'll be under a warning anytime real soon, especially in Columbiana County. It'll probably take a little while down there. Look at all that lightning. Let's do a check on Northwest Ohio, because this is something we still have to watch this evening as well. Big lightning producers and several severe thunderstorm warnings are out. Thankfully at this point, no tornado warnings anywhere, and I don't even see any tornado possible tags on a lot of this.
This is just a straight severe thunderstorm event for now, and if anything prior to this afternoon, if we could base anything off what's to come from what happened during the afternoon, it would stay that way.
Yeah, we even though the potential is there for something to try to spin this evening, as you can see, plotting up the storm reports, basically no tornado reports that I can see, even though we have had a couple of warnings from time to time in Michigan and in Indiana. Haven't seen any confirmed tornadoes yet today. A lot of wind and a lot of hail, certainly, as well. Looks like that rotation that just crossed the state line is, at this point, I'm going to switch to the Pittsburgh radar source. Not real concerned anymore. I mean, it's weakened quite a bit as it's entered northwestern Mercer. Earlier, this showed a tighter couplets, tighter rotation, perhaps even a wall cloud perhaps being produced closer to Mosquito Lake, the Mecca area in Trumbull County. But as it's entered Mercer, looks to me like it's weakened quite a bit. But we'll keep an eye on it, because these things can pop up and down. They can definitely cycle and fluctuate. A lot of rain with these as well, so flash flood warning was just issued for Cuyahoga County.
It is interesting, though. We are getting, now these are just some real broad rotation tracks that are tracking through that same area that haven't continued over the state line. But, there was something trying to happen in that area.
Yeah, for sure.
Very, very broad.
I'll show the picture we got a little while ago again. This was from Tyler Berry up in Trumbull County. A little while ago, this was closer to the top of the hour. Lowering cloud base, perhaps a wall cloud trying to form near Mecca, near the northern end of Mosquito Lake. This is a while ago now, but if you're watching us on Facebook and YouTube, I can show you this. And so that's what we were looking at earlier, but that section of the storm has since not rotated as tightly. But, again, these things can cycle a little bit, and we'll keep a close eye on it as it moves through.
And Eric, report to pass along from our Chris Sarinelli scanner report in our newsroom that he just heard said there was a report of a funnel cloud moving down Route 7 toward Brookfield. So we will work to get the validity of that report and maybe get a timestamp on when that might have moved through. But that is a report from our Chris Sarinelli per scanner traffic that he just heard in our newsroom.
And the report was it was moving towards Brookfield?
I'll get a better direction on that, okay. And I'll circle back then.
Okay. Wonder if that was
toward Brookfield is what Chris the note Chris passed along.
Okay. Wonder if that was with that little appendage that was down a little while ago.
Yeah, that could have been. It could have been a delayed report easily from that little pocket that we saw.
Okay. Well, we'll see if we can get any clarification on that. Pretty good thunderstorm, non-severe, but a pretty good thunderstorm now in Lawrence County. This was what was tracking through Columbiana a little while ago. Not much going on in Mahoning County right now, but we've got really pretty high-end thunderstorms still occurring near the Ashtabula-Trumbull line and near the Mercer-Crawford line. You can see all the lightning with this. Noticed Chris just tweeted a picture from Corey McCrae. Looks like a shelf cloud. This is in Howland, so...
Yeah, I was just about to say, if you pop up the Niles camera, this is looking over the Eastwood Mall. Pretty ominous looking clouds in that direction.
Is that camera 1 or 2?
That is camera 1.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we're looking west-northwest here from Niles, and it's a little bit hard to tell because it's getting into the evening now and the sun is getting lower, but it's interesting that maybe there's even a little bit of a green tint to underneath that cloud mass, which is a classic indicator usually of hail in a storm. And certainly we've got some decent shelf cloud action going on there.
Yeah, that's a well-defined shelf cloud over there, and yeah.
Certainly,
you can tell the camera's shaking.
Yeah, threatening skies, and the camera's shaking a little bit. You can see the trees and the flag. You just, if you go back to where you were just a second ago, kind of almost facing the mall, you can see the trees and the flag moving pretty good. One more.
Yep, there
it is. Yeah, pretty good. So we're getting an outflow certainly right there with the shelf cloud pushing through and the wind gusting there in Niles, and we'll show you what's going on the radar there. We just showed you the camera in Niles. As you can see in Niles itself right now, we're not exactly getting hit with a bunch of heavy rain or everything, but this outflow is from the action just off to the north, up towards Warren, just north of Howland as well, and then closer to the Trumbull County Fairgrounds. But certainly getting some threatening skies down into the Niles area. Here's the motion. So heads up as we head towards the 8 o'clock hour here, down towards the Mahoning line, Girard and Liberty and Youngstown, of course, Austintown area, North Jackson, and Mineral Ridge and places like that, Hubbard. This is coming your way here as we head towards the top of the hour. Heads up over in Mercer County. Conditions will continue to deteriorate down towards Interstate 80 and Route 62. As we head deeper into the 7 o'clock hour and towards the 8 o'clock hour, some hail and some wind in these storms, no doubt. Non-severe storms still pushing through Lawrence. Things are quiet in most of Columbiana right now with just a little bit of rain down towards the Ohio River. But as I mentioned a little while ago, it may take until almost 9 o'clock or so before you get much activity in our far southern viewing area. Let's look at the latest hail tracks over the last hour. You can see definitely northeastern Trumbull has seen the most hail out of our viewing area over the last hour or so. That cell has weakened somewhat heading into northwestern Mercer, but only somewhat. It's still packing a pretty good punch heading into the Greenville area right now, and especially up towards the Crawford County line. So, heavy thunderstorms, Greenville area, up towards the Crawford line, and still back towards the Trumbull line as well, around the Kinsman area. A lot of lightning and thunder. And the wind remains a story now, of course, as you know from our coverage, both today and other times. A little bit tough to show much on the velocity data this far away from the radar source. We're sampling the storms pretty far up.
And Eric, I'm going to interrupt you here real quick. We're getting a few texts and messages that there are sirens going off in the Cortland-Vienna area. Now, of course, there hasn't been any tornado warnings, or else we'd be breaking into coverage.
Yes.
But these are a couple of text messages that I've received just now. And according to the National Weather Service in Cleveland, the EMA has called them I think about if you bring the rotation up around, maybe some ragged rotation towards the Warren, Howland, Vienna area, and they're keeping a close eye on it. But still working to find out maybe why those sirens are going off in that area with no tornado warning that has been issued.
It may have been a delayed reaction to the wall cloud earlier up near Mecca, and again, that was probably at least a half an hour or so at this point. Another reason why, we tell you not to rely on sirens as your primary source, because sometimes they don't work, and sometimes they work a little too well, and they're set off when maybe they shouldn't be.
They also can be confusing to people.
They can be.
We just got a couple of text messages. Well, what's going on? Why isn't there a tornado warning? Is there a tornado? And that's not the case with no tornado warning.
Yeah, again, if you're hearing sirens up in Trumbull County right now, we're watching everything carefully, but there's no tornado warning. There's a severe thunderstorm warning, but we're not seeing much evidence on the radar right now of any sort of tight rotation. Earlier, we did have some tighter rotation in the northern part of Trumbull County, up towards Mecca, Johnston, heading over towards Kinsman as well. But where, as we've been getting a few messages about, maybe sirens are being activated right now closer to Cortland, there's no tornado warning. And there's, from my eye, not much of a threat of a tornado as we speak.
There's a good pocket of wind, though. This is Cleveland's radar velocity scan over towards the Farmington-Bristol area. I'm clearing it at 56 miles per hour, so some decent wind right there, moving into the Champion area, moving along 422 in between Southington and Champion, moving towards Leavittsburg as well.
Yeah, this is close to 305, 422. So yeah, heads up, Champion area, north side of Warren. You're about to get socked with some pretty good winds through there, and it remains pretty windy all the way up into northern Trumbull County, but that is a particularly intense little pocket of wind where you have some of these brighter reds and pinks almost right in through here near Painesville Warren Road, Route 305. That's Ohio Route 305 and then U.S. Route 422 as well. Very, very windy. But if you're hearing sirens and wondering why there's not a tornado warning, well, there isn't a tornado warning, and from our eye right now, there doesn't need to be right now. There's no threat of a tornado dropping out of a lot of this. We're keeping a very close eye on all of the velocity data off these Doppler radars to make sure that there isn't any rotation, and I'm not seeing much evidence of that right now. Earlier, that was a little bit of a different story up in the northeastern part of Trumbull County.
Yeah, it might be important too. The National Weather Service doesn't issue, the National Weather Service doesn't trigger those tornado sirens. Those are all triggered by county EMAs.
Yes.
So that's important to note as well.
Yeah, the local officials are responsible for the activation of the tornado sirens. There's no one at a National Weather Service office pushing a button to activate sirens. We certainly don't do that here, but local officials do. Some have a better sense as to when to activate them than others. And it's, again, another reason why we want you to have better sources of warning information. And just a reminder, when it comes to sirens, they're designed to be heard outdoors, not indoors. Just because you can hear one indoors in some cases, that doesn't mean that's what it was designed to do. They're designed to alert people who are outdoors. They are a World War II technology that is getting up there in age. And they serve a limited purpose in 2023. We don't want to tear them down or anything like that, but we do want most people to have many different and better ways of getting warnings. That is for sure. All right, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning for western PA until 8:30. This will be an extension of the current warning that was out for Mercer until 7:45. This is going to replace that one. It runs until 8:30, and this includes parts of Lawrence as well. Still picking up on some decent-sized hailstones trying to fall over in northwest PA or northwestern Mercer County specifically. This is the same section of that storm that produced some hailstones and some rotation for a time in northeastern Trumbull. Now we're getting some decent-sized hailstones, I should say, right up here in the northwestern corner of Mercer, near the Greenville area. Probably hail of up to, at least nickel size, perhaps even a little bit larger. Probably bigger than pea size, maybe up to nickel size or so, around the Greenville area.
Yeah, and I think I want to reiterate, too, have you reiterate as well. Apparently our newsroom is getting flooded with calls about the tornado sirens and if there's a warning or not. There is no warning. Just to stress that one more time, there's no tornado warning, but we know we're getting a lot of calls and texts and messages about why people are hearing sirens in Trumbull County.
Yeah, and I have no doubt that we're getting a lot of calls in a situation like this. I just got a tweet to sirens being heard in Hermitage. Weird. Well, it kind of is. It kind of isn't. We see this a lot in severe weather situations where sirens are activated when no tornado warning is present. So, if you're watching this stream, just know that right now we have no tornado warnings. Maybe shoot a text or call a friend or family member who may be worried about the sirens being heard and let them know, hey, right now things are okay in terms of the threat of a tornado. We have some big, mean thunderstorms that are producing some wind and some vivid lightning, and in some places some hail. But right now, we don't see much of a threat of a tornado as it stands at this very moment.
And Pittsburgh expired a severe thunderstorm warning for Butler, Forest, Lawrence, Mercer, and Durango.
Yeah, that's probably the one that they just issued to replace this one. That was going to expire at 7:45. Yep. The new one runs until 8:30. All right, so this kind of wall of water with lightning and thunder and wind continues to sag southward. So get ready for this in Girard and Mineral Ridge and Hubbard and Lordstown certainly in the next couple of minutes. And eventually, as we head towards the top of the hour, Austintown, Youngstown, Liberty, and then eventually the 224 corridor, probably as we head towards 8:15 to 8:30. As this band moves through, it's going to pack a punch with some wind and perhaps a few hailstones and some vivid lightning and some heavy rain. We're keeping a very close eye on the wind data to make sure that we don't have any pockets of rotation trying to form. We don't see that. We don't see a lot of evidence of that right now. Let's look at that Niles cam again. We still have Niles on camera 1.
Yes, Niles is on camera 1.
Yeah, and as we can see, it has started raining in Niles. It's a lot darker than it was. Can we get a shot of that flag and the trees again? See how much movement we have there, just to get a sense as to.
Yeah, you can see it a little bit less light, obviously, but.
Yeah, but it's just kind of fluttering. So we're not getting inundated with a lot of wind here. It appears.
Yes.
At the Red Lobster. The biscuits, I'm sure, are still tasty, even when the weather is not so nice.
That's just kind of a view around Niles there.
We're coming up on 7:45 for those just joining us. Severe thunderstorm watch is out for everyone. A few severe thunderstorm warnings currently in effect, and we have a high-end severe weather threat this evening for the next couple of hours across the area.
And Eric, I'm going to send you a photo here. This is of a shelf cloud in Mineral Ridge.
Okay.
So. That is sent over to you, and this is when you pop it up on the screen. This is from David. He sent this in Mineral Ridge,
okay.
And that's his view almost a few minutes ago.
Where'd you send it?
I sent it to your email.
Email, okay.
Yep. He as well can hear tornadoes for the record.
Seems as though we have a lot of sirens. Yep. So big dark shelf cloud there. That was in, you said, Mineral Ridge?
Mineral Ridge, yep.
probably some, a lot of vivid shelf clouds out there this evening. Just a reminder of what a shelf cloud is. That's a lowering of the cloud on the leading edge of a thunderstorm. Usually as a shelf cloud passes your location, the wind picks up. It might get noticeably colder because that's rain-cooled air rushing out from a storm. That creates that lower cloud. The cloud itself is not dangerous. It's not a wall cloud. It's not going to produce a tornado or anything like that. But when you see a shelf cloud pushing through, usually that's a precursor to a nearby thunderstorm pushing through.
And there's a great shot on our traffic camera in Youngstown, or overlooking the city of Youngstown here.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yep.
So there's a good example of a shelf cloud. This is our Youngstown camera looking to the northwest here. So there's the shelf cloud right there. And underneath that and behind that, off to the north and west, that's where the rain is. That's where the storm is. The leading edge is the leading edge of some cooler air rushing out from a storm. Rain-cooled air through the evaporative process. Rain cools the air. It rushes out. That cooler air undercuts the warmer air because cooler air is denser, it's heavier, and causes additional uplift. And when you have uplift, you get clouds forming, and so you get a lowering of the cloud base because the cloud forms closer to the ground when you have such intense uplift with the cooler air, kind of making that warmer, more moisture-laden air rise. So that is a great example of a shelf cloud.
Yep. We're getting a report now. Our former 21 News at 6 producer Jason Morrow just said high winds moving into Liberty.
High winds moving into Liberty from Jason. Award-winning Jason Morrow, our former 6 p.m. producer. Gonna bring up the radar again here. He was in, you said Liberty?
Liberty.
Yeah, he's right underneath that shelf cloud probably. Yep. That's pushing in from the north. We just viewed that on our tower camera, and now we're looking at what is producing that shelf cloud, and it's what's moving through the Niles area right now, coming into Churchill, the Liberty area, Girard, and heads up in Hubbard. It's coming your way. Heads up in Austintown. It's going to be coming your way as we head towards 8 o'clock or so. Youngstown area, close to 8 o'clock or so as well. For our viewers down towards the 224 corridor, we have a lot of people watching, no doubt, in Canfield and Boardman and Poland, Struthers, Coatesville, Louisville, places like that. As we head into the 8 o'clock hour, it'll be your turn. And the threat's going to last well into the 8 o'clock hour, perhaps even parts of the 9 o'clock hour, especially south of 224. Down in the Columbiana County, the 9 o'clock hour will be kind of prime time down there because we still got all this stuff that is yet to push through. This is heading like this, and so it's not just the stuff that's sinking in from the north right now due north. It's the stuff to our northwest that still is going to have to come through.
So if you're at Mount Carmel and Louisville, still got a little time to get your Mora in, still got a little time to get your bocce and your Deruso sausage. Still a little time for that. But,
a little time,
but you definitely want to maybe grab that stuff to go.
Yes, for sure. No doubt a lot of people are seeing darkening skies at the festival right now and probably seeing that shelf cloud off to the northwest as well. Severe thunderstorm warnings are lining up along almost the entirety of this line at this point. We have a few out here in western Ohio. This stuff is going to be a miss for us to the south, the far tail end of this. That'll be more of a problem for Columbus and then eventually Zanesville and Cambridge and Athens, places like that. It's this stuff up here that is currently warned, closer to Mansfield, that's moving through Cleveland still at this hour, coming into Akron. This is the stuff that will move through our viewing area. And again, look at all the lightning and thunder with this. And when you have this much positive voltage lightning, it's a dangerous storm because of the lightning, but there's no doubt a lot of hail still falling out of these storms as well. Something that just caught my eye a moment ago in southwestern Trumbull, maybe just east of Newton Falls, we have a little bit of an appendage or some of that storm is trying to rotate perhaps.
Near Lordstown?
Yeah. Again, it's nothing great, but we'll watch that as it moves through Warren with perhaps a little bit of rotation right here. Braceville area, Levittsburg, coming into Lordstown, south side of Warren. The other area that we had earlier on that was rotating pretty decently for a time in northeastern Trumbull is now over towards Greenville, and I'm going to switch radar sources and go over to the Pittsburgh radar. And there's still just a little bit of evidence that we're seeing some pockets of wind, and perhaps this storm is still trying to rotate a little bit around Greenville, up here in northwestern Mercer. We're sampling the middle of the storm here, really far away from the radar beam, but perhaps a little rotation still with that section over there.
Yeah, there's some really impressive pockets of wind moving through the Richfield area, over towards Boston, Boston Heights, Macedonia, even towards Hudson. So that's on the way to all those locations. Some big time wind there.
Yeah, pockets of strong wind, no doubt. In Summit County. See if that holds its own as it approaches our viewing area. Take one more look at our tower camera before it gets too dark. Looks like our shelf cloud is just about getting set to push into the Youngstown area. If we pan over towards the city again,
yep.
Will we see the leading edge of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. So there's your shelf cloud pushing into the north side of Youngstown. And the wind is picking up through there, and it's about to pour rain as well. Again, if you're just joining us and you're hearing sirens, in most cases, or in just about all cases right now, you should not be. We do not have any tornado warnings issued by the National Weather Service. We're not seeing a whole lot of radar data to suggest there's a lot of rotation anywhere. I just mentioned southwestern Trumbull is an area I'm going to keep an eye on around Warren. But nothing real strong right now. So if there are sirens being activated in your community, I would say they probably shouldn't be right now. We have severe thunderstorm warnings. We have big thunderstorms, but we have no tornadoes, no tornado warnings. We see no evidence of a tornado. And if you have friends or loved ones asking you about it, if they're not watching this stream, just let them know. Hey, that TV weather guy said, it's doing all right. We're doing all right now. We need to stay vigilant and be weather aware, and continue watching this stream, and we'll keep you up to date. If a tornado warning is issued, of course, we'll get on TV immediately. Down in southern Columbiana County, after that non-severe storm pushed through, or is mostly just a shower far enough south, had a couple of rainbows down there. So a couple of cool shots there. And I'm getting some other pictures on social media of our shelf cloud pushing through Trumbull County and into Mahoning County. Some ominous clouds, some SLCs, scary-looking clouds. Shelf clouds can be pretty intimidating looking, definitely darker underneath them, and a storm is coming. But again, the cloud itself is not dangerous, and does not necessarily mean that there will be severe weather when you see a shelf cloud. It just means a thunderstorm is coming in, and the rain-cooled air has lifted air more rapidly and caused a cloud to form a little bit closer to the ground.
Some great lightning on our Niles camera, and kind of a great example of what is behind that shelf cloud, with it just pouring rain and some frequent lightning.
Yeah, there you go. And you can see the trees are blowing a little bit, but it doesn't look tremendously windy. The wind was pretty much confined to the gust front itself that pushed through with the shelf cloud a little while ago. We're just getting some heavy rain right now. Man, certainly a good lightning show. Real quick factoid, while we have a moment. We haven't had much severe weather this season, but we are coming to the climatological end of the peak of severe weather season around here, which we generally consider to be late May through early July. The number of thunderstorm days does start to decrease fairly rapidly by late summer into early fall. Maybe this year will be weird and we'll have a lot of storms in late summer and early fall. If you remember last year, of course, we had a tornado in Boardman Labor Day weekend during the Canfield Fair, early September. Not exactly the time of the year that we typically think of for tornadoes, but it can happen. It's just the climatological peak for severe weather, and that includes all forms of severe weather. Typically is late spring into the first half of the summer season.
Yep, they continued that National Weather Service in Pittsburgh, I should say, continued that severe thunderstorm warning for Lawrence and Mercer in our viewing area, and a few other counties outside of our viewing area until 8:30 p.m. with winds potentially up to 70 miles per hour and some hail of up to an inch in diameter.
And notice that's why they have the considerable tag on that warning for Western PA, because this is a higher end severe thunderstorm with maybe not just 58 or 60 mile per hour winds, but perhaps up to 70 or so, and perhaps hail that is bigger than an inch in diameter. And yeah, we're still probably seeing some decent sized hail. Again, near Greenville or just east of Greenville at this point, or just south and east of Greenville. Still seeing some evidence that we're getting some hailstones falling out of this. Not seeing hail in too many other places right now in Mercer County. Maybe a little bit, some P's maybe, over towards Route 19. Heading over towards Sandy Lake. My favorite lake, Lake Wilhelm. Just did a half marathon there back in June. Great event, beautiful course. So you might see some hailstones over there. I'm going to just bring up the radar here while I check my social media real quickly to see what people are sending. I know I'm getting a few more pictures. Yeah, we're getting a lot of pictures of shelf clouds. Some really good ones. Someone mentioned fire departments in parts of Trumbull County still have a siren when they have a normal fire/EMS call. So that's interesting. I think Bill was up in Kinsman, if I'm not mistaken. So that's interesting. Maybe that's part of the reason why people were hearing sirens earlier. Severe thunderstorm warning for Trumbull runs another 15 minutes until 8:15. We have until 8:30 in Mercer and Lawrence County. And if you're watching from farther south in our viewing area, we're going to keep a close eye on what's going on in Akron right now, heading back towards Medina, Mansfield area, south side of Cleveland at this point.
And I'm going to read this, real quick, but Brian Moore from Grove City says sirens everyone are hearing are fire sirens. Mm-hmm. Lines down and other related fire department items. That's what Bill was just mentioning. Yeah, that goes along with
on
that.
Facebook as well. So a lot of people may be hearing sirens. We're finding out due to EMS calls, fire calls, things like that, and they may not necessarily be because someone set off a siren because they thought there was a tornado coming or there was a tornado warning. So that may explain some of the siren noises that some are hearing. All right, we'll stop the loop and do a real short-term kind of clock time view here of this main line sinking southward, just in the short term. Youngstown in about 10 minutes or so at the latest, maybe 12 minutes. Struthers closer to 8:20. Canfield, the 224 corridor, about 8:25 for most of the 224 corridor. Shenango, 8:36. Columbiana and down towards the Columbiana line, closer to 9 o'clock.
And now Mahoning is in on that severe thunderstorm warning. They extended the Trumbull as well. Warning in Trumbull as well to 9:15. So okay. Mahoning, Portage, Stark, Summit, Trumbull till 9:15.
Okay. So new severe thunderstorm warning that does include Mahoning. And there it is. There's the new warning polygon that includes the Canton area, Kent, Ravenna, Akron area, Talmadge, places like that. And that's until, what time was that again?
9:15.
9:15 for the new one. The old one expires at 8:15, but the new one is until 9:15. Some of the storm reports that the National Weather Service has been relaying. We had a lot of hail earlier up in the Erie area, northwest PA and southwest New York. some hailers earlier around Cleveland, and a lot of hail reports and some wind damage in western Ohio, northern Indiana, and a good chunk of Michigan as well. Have not seen of any official reports of damaging winds or large hail, that at least of no reports that have been relayed in the National Weather Service that can be easily plotted up in our system here from our viewing area, even though I suspect there's been some hail from time to time in the northern tier of Trumbull County and northwestern Mercer as well. So again, heads up, here it comes. It's about to rain hard, and we're going to get a puff of wind momentarily here in Youngstown and Campbell and Struthers. It's already come into Hubbard. It's already come into Girard and Niles and Mineral Ridge. It's coming into, or just about to come into, the Austintown area. And it'll come right down 46 into Canfield and right down Route 11 and 680. Closer to the 224 corridor here as we head towards 8:15 to 8:30. Now that we're at the top of the hour, just a reminder of what we're doing here this evening. We're covering a pretty high-end severe weather event with a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for our entire television viewing area. We have several severe thunderstorm warnings. All hazards are on the table this evening, including damaging wind gusts, large hail, and even a spin-up tornado is something that can't be ruled out at this point. And just a moment ago, I see there was actually a tornado warning issued, not anywhere near us, but out in western Ohio. There it is, probably.
Tornado warning now for Mercer and Venango until 8:30.
Oh.
Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located 9 miles northwest of Grove City, moving east at 45 miles per hour.
Okay, so everyone on the stream, we do have a tornado warning now in our viewing area. This is in Mercer County, basically Mercer on east until 8:30, and this will necessitate us to get on television to let our audience know about that. So we'll continue the live stream, but we're going to step away for just a moment and get the television cut-in set up. So hang with us for just a moment. Again, tornado warning out until 8:30, including Jackson Center, Cool Spring, Sandy Creek, Findlay, in eastern parts of Mercer County.
Gave Zach the heads up.
Okay.
Just let him know whenever you're ready.
Okay. Is he listening in for me back
Yes.
there? All right.
Yep.
I got my IFB on, Zach, so whenever you can fire it up, we'll be ready. Just same deal, Max 1 and my mic. Yep. Okay, hi everyone, it's 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here. We've been streaming live all evening, at least since about 6:45 or so, and now we're cutting in on television to let you know about a tornado warning in parts of Mercer County. This runs until 8:30 this evening, and this is for the eastern part of Mercer County. It's in this polygon right here in the purple. This includes Mercer, Cool Spring, Findlay, Jackson Center, and out towards the Venango County line. You are not in the tornado warning in the rest of Mercer County, so you're not in the tornado warning in Sharon and West Middlesex and places like that and up towards Greenville. But you are in the tornado warning polygon in the eastern part of Mercer County until 8:30 this evening. If you are in this warning polygon, we want you to take this seriously and find your safe place. That would be the lowest level of your home or business. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Stay away from the windows. If you have a device such as a smartphone, take it with you. Continue watching our coverage there. And hunker down. This is moving at a decent clip, so you'll only have to seek shelter for a little while here. Officially, this warning runs until 8:30 this evening. Now, this is just part of a larger severe weather outbreak that we've been tracking across our area this evening, but this is the only tornado warning that we have in effect for our television viewing area. And again, what we're looking at here is Mercer County from about Route 19 on east. That is where the warning polygon is. If you're watching from Grove City, most of that area is not in the warning polygon, although it's pretty close to there. If you're watching us from near the Lawrence County line down closer to New Wilmington, you're not in the warning down there. You are under a severe thunderstorm warning down there, even though the tornado warning is off to your north. We have some high-end severe thunderstorm warnings across our area this evening. All of these storms will be capable of producing strong winds, vivid lightning, hail and spin up tornadoes, something we can't rule out as well. We're going to take a look at, that was the traditional radar. Here's a look at the what we call the wind velocity data coming off the Doppler radar source in the Pittsburgh area. And the rotation is probably with this guy right here. Got a little bit of a couplet just east of Route 79. Findlay, Jackson Center area. This is near where 79 and 62 meet. This is coming towards Route 173 as well. And while this may look like spilled paint on the radar to a lot of people, to the trained eye, there's a little bit of rotation trying to occur right in through there, and hence the tornado warning that was just issued. The latest scan is not quite as impressive as the scan that prompted the warning, so we'll see if this cycles up and down a little bit. Strong thunderstorms can do that. They can look pretty strong on one scan. The radar sweeps back through, gets another look at the storm. It doesn't look quite as strong. That can happen from time to time, and that may be what we're seeing here right now. So again, you can watch our streaming coverage at WFMJ.com, the Storm Tracker 21 app, and find that link on our social media outlets as well. But we'll stay on television as long as we have an active tornado warning in our television viewing area. And what we're looking at is Mercer County here until 8:30 this evening. We have a tornado warning that has been issued. This includes places such as Findlay, Jackson Center, Cool Spring, Sandy Creek as well, and then it extends over towards Venango, the Venango County line, and just into parts of Venango County as well. Elsewhere, real quickly across our area, aside from that tornado warning, we have severe thunderstorm warnings for Mahoning County and Trumbull County, with some vivid lightning and some gusty winds and some heavy rain pushing through. No warnings right now in Columbiana County, but that will probably change as we head towards the 9 o'clock hour and beyond this evening. For most of our television viewing area, the severe weather threat will be over by about 9:30 to 10 p.m. at the latest in most areas. But again, seek shelter. Find your safe location if you are in this tornado warning polygon in eastern Mercer County. We call it a polygon because warnings are issued this way and have been for about 15 years now. Entire counties usually aren't put under tornado warnings except in certain circumstances. So it's not all of Mercer County. It's this area outlined in purple in the eastern part of the county. Basically Route 19 and eastward. So find your safe location. Take your smart device with you and stay up to date on what's going on. We want as many walls between you and the outside as you can get. If you live in an apartment building and you live on an upper floor, hopefully at this point you've made friends with someone on a lower floor of your apartment building and somewhere that you could seek shelter that's safer than your upper floor apartment. If you're in a house that does not have a basement, then a lot of times an interior room is your best bet. A lot of times that's a bathroom, under a stairwell, things like that. You want, again, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Don't be near any windows. And so we'll get through this together, but we do have a tornado warning. I'm here this evening with meteorologist Andrew Paulo, who's keeping an eye on anything that's being submitted to us via social media and our email.
We've been talking about almost this direct line that had the potential for maybe some quick little bursts of a possible couplet over towards Trumbull County and over towards the state line into Mercer County. Obviously, that came to fruition with the tornado warning being issued, but from the Vernon Fire Station on the corner of State Route 7, State Route 88, looking over into the PA border, we got a couple of pictures. This is straight to the news email, news@wfmj.com. You can submit photos there or at weatherpics@wfmj.com. Looks like a lowered base, a little bit of rotation trying to form, a little bit of a funnel cloud trying to form. So a little bit of confirmation that there was a little bit of some rotation before the state line and just crossing over into the state line. Obviously better organization once it moved east of the Mercer area and Cool Springs area.
Yeah. So thanks to everyone who's been submitting pictures and reports to us via social media, via email, and things like that. We really appreciate it. A lot of locations have heard sirens this evening that have not been in a tornado warning. In a lot of those cases, it may have been because of EMS or fire calls that the local fire departments were responding to, and not because they thought there was a tornado nearby or there was a tornado warning. But we've gotten kind of flooded in our newsroom with a lot of reports of tornado sirens in places that have not been under tornado warnings this evening. But we do have one in effect right now for another 19 minutes until 8:30 in eastern parts of Mercer County. Again, this is mostly Route 19 and east. It includes the I-80 corridor in eastern Mercer County, It includes the I-79 corridor in eastern Mercer County between Mercer and Jackson Center. And again, this polygon extends eastward into Venango County as well, including the Clintonville area, Barkeyville, Victory, and up towards Sandy Creek. Elsewhere across our area, again, that is the only tornado warning, but we do have severe thunderstorm warnings out still for a lot of Trumbull and Mahoning. We've got a ways to go before we can sound the all clear because there's a lot of warned storms to our north and west, impacting the south side of Cleveland, impacting Akron, back towards Mansfield as well. And we've got more severe weather in western Ohio that will be primarily a miss to the south for us. I think for a lot of our television viewing area, the severe weather threat will be over by about 10 o'clock this evening, at the latest in our southern and eastern viewing area. In the northern part of our viewing area, if you're watching us from northern Trumbull County, we'll probably give the all clear sometime in the 9 o'clock hour. From severe weather in those locales, perhaps even as early as about 9 o'clock or so in northern parts of Trumbull County.
And not in our viewing area. You might have heard that little dramatic
screech.
Screech is a good word for it. Cleveland did issue a tornado warning for outside of our viewing area. We'll talk about it a little bit on the stream. You hear that screech and your heart races a little bit, but we'll focus on the tornado warning for our viewing area here.
Yeah, there's one other tornado warning in Ohio, and that's out near the Dayton area, north of Dayton and northwest of Columbus. But in our television viewing area, it's eastern Mercer County. Until 8:30 this evening, tornado warning is out. This includes Jackson Center and points eastward. Another look at the velocity data or the wind data off of the Pittsburgh Doppler radar source near the Pittsburgh International Airport. Again, you see a lot of colors on here. May look like spilled paint a little bit, but there may still be a little rotation right here coming over towards the Venango line. I suspect will be the warning will be discontinued for a lot of the Mercer County section of this before too much longer because the threat in Mercer County may be over in the next handful of minutes. But take this seriously still if you're watching us from the eastern parts of Mercer County. Your warning runs until 8:30 officially. These storms have had a history of producing some hailstones. Maybe not so much right now in eastern Mercer County, probably a little pea-size hail at least near Jackson Center. But perhaps up to quarter-size hail was pretty common earlier in northwestern Trumbull and northeastern Trumbull, I should say, northwestern Mercer around Greenville. We had some decent hailstones earlier up there. Might be getting some pea-size hail right now around Jackson Center. And we've had a report of some thunderstorm wind damage near Sandy Lake. This was earlier on, about 7:33, from some storms that moved through earlier.
So they're going to go ahead. Pittsburgh's going to go ahead and continue that tornado warning, Eric, for Mercer, for Venango until 8:30. At 8:13, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 9 miles north of Grove City, moving east at 45 miles per hour. That report coming just a moment ago at 8:13.
So you can see they chopped the western section of this polygon off, so you're no longer in the warning in Mercer and Findlay and Jackson Center and Cool Spring. You're still in the warning polygon, though, over towards Route 173 and over towards the county line for a handful of minutes longer.
Yep, and we're seeing trees down. 2 reports now from Mercer County. Trees down in and around Sandy Lake, as you just mentioned. Also trees down and around West Salem Township in Mercer County.
All right, so we're starting to get some reports of some tree damage, or some trees down, I should say. And this is something we have to be aware of this evening, the possibility of power outages wherever we have strong winds. We can easily see some widespread power outages this evening. I haven't looked at the numbers of late, but we'll check out the power outage numbers, see if we have any at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if we had some widespread, power outages before the evening is through, with all the wind that is associated with these storms. So again, seek shelter, find your safe location in far eastern parts of Mercer County.
For Trumbull County right now, it is 638 is the number of power outages. And those are pretty much scattered across the county, with the Newton Township with 178. The rest of the county has a varying amount of numbers. Farmington Township at 122, Bristol with 65. So Trumbull County with over 600 power outages, and I will bring up our Mercer County numbers here in just a moment.
Okay, so several hundred without power in Trumbull County with the storms pushing through. In all honesty, that's not as bad as it could have been. We're not out of the woods just yet in Trumbull, but that isn't quite as bad as it could have been with the strength of some of these storms. The rotation right now, such that it is pretty close to far eastern Mercer County, just about into Venango County, just north of Grove City or northeast of Grove City, closer to Barkeyville. And so we can just about give you the all clear in Mercer County from this tornado warning. But hang in there a couple minutes longer. If you're seeking shelter, just hang in there a couple minutes longer, then we'll give you the all clear in Mercer County.
And in Mercer County, those numbers are 483, with the majority coming from Sandy Lake Township.
Okay, so Sandy Lake Township in the northeastern part of Mercer, a few hundred without power up there, goes along with the report of some tree damage up there. The National Weather Service office in Pittsburgh is mentioning the main gust surge going into northern Lawrence County. They're going to be eyeing the eastern flank of the surge for potential tornado development. So they're keeping an eye on what's going through Pulaski and coming into New Wilmington right now. Don't see a lot on the radar to suggest anything brewing as far as a tightening couplet, if you will. A surge of strong winds certainly around Route 19 in northern Lawrence County. So heads up again, the Grove City area, southeastern Mercer. The tornado warning will be discontinued here momentarily. We can probably give you the all clear at this point if you're watching us from Mercer County, because I do think the rotation with the part of the storm that prompted the warning, the rotation has now shifted to the east of Mercer County. That warning will be allowed to expire here in a handful of minutes in eastern Mercer County. But, you know, we're not out of the woods in terms of severe weather, certainly, with that tornado warning being allowed to expire here before too much longer. We've got a vivid lightning show, heavy rain, and some gusts of wind still to get through in a lot of Mercer County over the next 15 minutes to half an hour to 45 minutes. Over in our Ohio counties, so let's quickly peek in over here. Non-severe weather at this point in Trumbull County. The warning has been allowed to expire or be discontinued there. And it looks like we're going to get a flood warning. Flash flood warning for Mercer and Venango. So a brand new warning now to keep track of is a flash flood warning. We've got so much going on here. I'm going to take off the lightning. It's not going to plot up the flash flood warning with an active tornado warning and severe thunderstorm warning, but just know we do have a flash flood warning now out for parts of Mercer County, just about the entire county, in fact. We've had a lot of rain in Mercer County over the last hour or so, so be careful if you do find yourself needing to travel this evening. In anywhere where we have thunderstorms moving through and areas that are now under a flash flood warning in Mercer County, don't drive through a flooded roadway. You don't know how deep that water is. Every time we have severe weather across the country, we see videos and pictures of people their cars being washed away due to trying to drive across flooded roadways. So we don't want you to do that. So take that flood warning seriously. Look at all that lightning and thunder.
And we got a viewer question that was just texted to me. The plus sign is a positive lightning strike, which are much more dangerous than the other kind of traditional bolt that you see on there.
That's right.
It's a negative lightning strike.
Yeah, we get a lot of questions about when we have a lot of lightning, the plus signs. Those are positive voltage strikes. We tend to differentiate, or we like to differentiate between the positive voltage strikes and the negative voltage strikes, which have the more traditional lightning symbol. The reason we do that is, while all lightning is dangerous, strikes that have a positive voltage tend to have a higher voltage, and they tend to strike things on the ground with more frequency, so they tend to be a little bit more dangerous. So yeah, a lot of plus signs on our weather map this evening. That's all lightning. It's all positive voltage lightning, and it all is very, very dangerous. We actually do have a new tornado warning a little bit closer to home. This is still well off to our west, but this tornado warning is out in the Worcester area, or just northeast of Worcester. For parts of Medina and Wayne County until 8:45. It's moving southeast at 30 miles per hour. That's a pretty small polygon, but that's a tornado warning that the Cleveland office issued a little while ago, a little bit closer to home. But in our television viewing area, we'll hang with you on the television side here for just a few more moments while we still have an active tornado warning in eastern Mercer County. But I'll tell you, I do think that the rotation itself associated with that tornado warning has shifted into Venango County and is no longer an issue for most of Mercer. But in the far southeastern corner of Mercer, closer to Grove City, keep an eye on what's coming out of Lawrence County right now. Some hail and a pocket of pretty strong winds in the far northeastern corner of Lawrence County. Heads up in Slippery Rock, heads up in Grove City. Perhaps even trying to be a little bit of rotation right here along Route 79 near Plain Grove. Far, far northeastern Mercer, far, far southeastern, or northeastern Lawrence, I should say. Far, far southeastern Mercer.
Okay, this would be that continuation of the tornado warning, but for Venango County outside of our viewing area.
All right, so Mercer, we can give you the all clear. The tornado warning has been allowed to expire in Mercer County. It's now in effect for Venango County. Now in southeastern Mercer, again, heads up for just another 10 minutes or so for what's coming out of far south, or far northeastern, I should say, Lawrence County. Gust of wind and perhaps a little rotation around Plain Grove that bears watching for the next 15 minutes or so. So we're going to leave you on the television side and continue the live stream for those who want to watch us, WFMJ.com, the Storm Tracker 21 app, and you can find links on our Facebook and Twitter pages as well for that live stream. And if another tornado warning is issued at any point this evening for our television viewing area, we will see you back on television. In the meantime, check out the live stream for the duration of this evening's event. In the meantime, we'll head back to our regularly scheduled programming on NBC and the CW. All right.
Wayne County.
All right, so back here on the stream, thanks for hanging with us, everyone. Had to do a little business there on TV with a tornado warning out in Mercer County for a while. I mentioned at the end of that TV cut-in what we're watching. And I mean, this is extreme northeastern Lawrence County, pretty close to Slippery Rock. There may be a little rotation and maybe even some small hail. I don't think it's anything real noteworthy right now, but I mentioned that a couple of times on the live TV cut-in, but it's just about out of our viewing area anyway, and over into Butler County. The other active tornado warning in northern Ohio that may be of interest eventually for maybe parts of our area is over here in the Orrville area, Chippewa. This is northeast of Worcester. Tornado warning until 8:45 out there.
And it will be interesting to see off to the northeast of where that tornado warning is, what happens. You've got some real good pockets of wind coming just off to the southeast of Kent, around Ravenna, or just off to the east of the Hudson area. And there's some ragged rotation with this. Nothing terribly impressive, but it'll be interesting to see what develops. And then Pittsburgh just quickly expired that tornado warning for Venango.
Venango, yeah.
Yep.
Andrew mentioning some of the strong wind coming through Portage County right now. Look at those deep reds, hot pinks. Mostly Ravenna area down to the 224 area. So heads up eventually in our viewing area, maybe Newton Falls on south, down towards Lake Milton, Berlin Lake, Craig Beach area, and then eventually perhaps closer to Sebring and Beloit.
And back to Mercer County quickly, our Chris Sarinelli going to report on and grab some video of some trees down in the Sharon area. This would be Edgewood Avenue near Prindle Street.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah, Edgewood Avenue, yes.
That's in Sharon. So Chris
Edgewood
Sarinelli.
Road, rather. Sorry.
Okay.
Edgewood Road.
So Chris getting set to check out some tree damage in the Sharon area over in Mercer County. We continue to see heavy storms in Mercer County right now with a whole lot of lightning and thunder and perhaps some pea-sized hail in some spots, but the severe weather risk is diminishing in Mercer County. It's diminishing quickly in northern Trumbull County. We'll be able to give you the all clear from severe before too much longer in a lot of areas from around, say, 422 on north in Trumbull County up towards the northern end of Mosquito Lake. And some of the areas that first saw severe weather this evening, you're just about out of the woods for severe weather probably this evening in places like Greenville and Kinsman and Mesopotamia and closer to Route 6 and 322. But we got a ways to go before we can give you the all clear once you're down closer to Newton Falls and Girard and Warren and Vienna and Austintown and Youngstown and places like that. And of immediate concern is, as Andrew was just mentioning, the pocket of wind moving through Portage County right now that is making a beeline towards Route 76. Anyone traveling towards the Akron area from Youngstown along 76, you're going to run into a wall of wind here pretty soon. And yeah, there's probably some 60 plus mile per hour winds embedded in that from Brimfield over towards Rootstown down towards Randolph as well. And I'll put a loop on that just to show you.
Yeah, I've got 53 miles per hour just south of the Ravenna area, south of 76. So right over a very busy highway, very, very, very busy part of that highway, nearing the Mogador area. They're getting some heavy winds moving into the Talmadge area, even just off the east of Akron.
Mm-hmm. And you can get a pretty good look at the reason for the tornado warning north and east of Worcester, looking at the velocity data. That's not a super tight couplet, but it's tight enough, especially right in through here, near Marshallville. So that tornado warning definitely warranted it there. That particular section of the line may be a concern eventually for western parts of Columbiana, but it may be a miss just to the west, that particular section of the line for Columbiana. A bigger concern for us in our TV viewing area in the near term is probably what's going to come into western Mahoning and probably eventually northwestern Columbiana.
Yeah, and Eric, these rainfall rates too. I mean, even if you're not getting in on, everybody got in on a severe thunderstorm warning, off to the north in our northern viewing area, but where there's not necessarily a severe thunderstorm warning, there is heavy rain, and these numbers are pretty impressive. Almost 2 inches per hour off to the south of, just off to the northeast of the Churchill area, north of I-80, south of Vienna, kind of in that same boat. Lordstown area, 1.5 inches, up towards the downtown Warren area, just over 1.5 inches. And these are rainfall rates. So this isn't what has accumulated. This is what the hourly rate would be if it just parked over the area for an hour.
Yep. And it's definitely something to take seriously. The flash flooding risk mitigated somewhat this evening by the speed of these, but it's raining really hard where it's raining really hard. So you definitely got to take this pretty seriously and use some caution if you're going to be out on the roads, certainly this evening.
Would not want to be in the Wadsworth area, the Norton area, where those rainfall rates are close to 3 inches per hour.
Mm-hmm. For those at the Mount Carmel Festival, well, your evening's probably over at this point. With heavy rain moving through and some gusty winds as well. Just to recap, for those just joining us on the stream, we've been doing this for about an hour and a half or so now. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect for our entire viewing area in all of western PA, all of eastern Ohio, through this evening. Now, they'll start chopping away at this watch before the evening is through. In other words, the northern and western sections will be first to have the watch be discontinued, and eventually our entire area will see the watch discontinued by the end of the evening. But this watch is a big one. It extends all the way out into central and east central parts of Pennsylvania this evening. A recap of where we stand as far as current warnings. The tornado warning that we had earlier in eastern Mercer has been allowed to expire or was discontinued early. No current warnings in Columbiana, but stay tuned. Probably western Columbiana will get in on a warning before too much longer. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Mahoning County, most of Lawrence County. Just about ready to give you the all clear in terms of severe weather, though, in the northern half of Trumbull and the northern half of Mercer as well. Big lightning-producing storms pushing through as we speak. This active tornado warning out in north central Ohio, north and east of the Worcester area. This particular segment of the line may be kind of a close call, but it may be just a miss to us. Maybe more of a concern for Canton, and eventually maybe Dover, New Philly, Strasburg, places like that. We'll keep a close eye on that. Not seeing much in the way of evidence on the radar closer to home of a lot of rotation. We're seeing certainly some pockets of strong wind, but not seeing a whole lot in the way of misbehavior, if you will, in terms of sections of the line trying to rotate a little bit. But we're keeping an eye on every single scan of the radar to make sure nothing tries to spin up out there this evening. Just one of the Facebook comments caught my attention, wondering why we weren't on TV still. You know, you can please some of the people some of the time. We get a lot of complaints when we are on TV, interrupting programming. And then there are those who think we should be on TV for every severe thunderstorm warning. Just a reminder of what the policy is, and this is universal pretty much in just about every TV station in the country. Tornado warnings mean we're on TV. Severe thunderstorm warnings, unless they are really a particularly dangerous situation, with widespread 80-mile-per-hour winds, things like that. Typically, we cover severe thunderstorm warnings like this on a live stream. Most people have secondary devices these days, phones, tablets, computers, things like that they can watch live streaming coverage of severe weather while at the same time enjoying their television programming if they so choose. So that's kind of the policy.
And updated power outages for Mercer County, which will probably take a little bit of time, especially in the eastern part of the county where that tornado warning just rolled through, to update. But 516 right now is the number, customers without power, and the majority of that coming from the Sandy Lake, Sandy Borough area. As far as Trumbull County, 821 customers without power, and it's kind of a mix and spread throughout the county as far as who doesn't have power, or who has the power outages hit the most.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, our northern viewing area being hit the worst so far, but I would expect some scattered power outages to occur in the next hour or so in parts of Mahoning and Columbiana as this line pushes through. So no doubt we're not done with seeing power outages at this point. At this point, I am going to give you the all clear from severe in our northern viewing area. I would say at this point, even though the severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect, we're going to say you're in the clear at this point from severe weather, kind of in this area. This includes Bloomfield, Mesopotamia, the Mecca area, Kinsman, Gustavus, Greenville, and places to the north up into Ashtabula County, up into Crawford County. All clear at this point from severe. Rumbles of thunder, some rain, sure, but probably no severe weather from here on out this
Eric,
evening.
if you want to pull up camera 2, this is Boardman, so it might say Youngstown, but it's Boardman. This is something that we often get pictures of. That to you at home might think, oh, maybe that's a lower base or even a funnel cloud. A lot of these clouds sometimes are known as scud clouds, which can often kind of deceive people or even viewers to thinking that, oh, it's a funnel cloud or a lower base or there's some rotation.
It's definitely, another one of those kind of what I call SLCs, scary looking clouds. Pan a little bit to the left of that, Andrew, if you could. I would be interested in watching for a few minutes longer. Oops, too far. A couple more clicks.
Yeah, sensitive here.
I'd be interested in kind of this area right here, maybe.
Yeah.
For just a couple minutes, just to make sure that's nothing that we need to be concerned about. For the most part, yeah, I would agree. This is probably scud. But that lowering right there might bear watching. I'm not seeing much on the radar to suggest rotation.
Yeah, I mean, there is, some really, really, really ragged and broad stuff that is moving into western Mahoning County from Portage, kind of branching off of that ball of wind that pushed through the Edinburgh, Palmyra area along 76. And this is moving along 224 from Ellsworth and what will eventually be Canfield and then right into Boardman too. So kind of...
Now we're looking southeast here, right?
Yes,
over
this
the mall?
will be southeast over the mall. Yep.
Okay. New warning just issued covers parts of Columbiana. Let's see how much of Columbiana that covers. Or does it? Maybe it doesn't. Saw a new warning in our system pop up, but huh. All right, so maybe I called that putt a little early. Eventually, though, I suspect you'll be put under a severe thunderstorm warning in Columbiana. And the reason for that is while we do have a thunderstorm, kind of a pop-up, north of Hanoverton, south of Salem, around Route 9, that's nothing severe right now. This, however, is severe. That's coming through Palmyra and getting set to head into Craig Beach, Lake Milton area, as we speak. And that's a pretty good pocket of wind. Newton Falls area on south primarily. And so this is going to impact a good chunk of Mahoning County, it looks like. Coming up here in the second half of the 8 o'clock hour as we head closer to 9 o'clock. Another pretty strong pocket out here. Might be aimed a little bit farther to the south. Maybe closer to Salem. New tornado warning. This one's out towards Worcester again.
Stark and Wayne until 9:15.
So there you go. That includes the Massillon area. Again, I think that particular section of the line is probably going to be a miss to the west for us. Definitely more of a concern for western Stark County, Canton on west, I-77 on west. Closer to Route 21 in the Massillon area. Let me go back to that Boardman camera.
Yep, it's popped up now. I did kind of... we're still looking south and east at this point, and...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anything real alarming there. A lot of scud, a lot of low clouds, but for a couple of seconds there, I thought that we might have a little bit something interesting there. But yeah, this is 224. It says Youngstown on the banner, but this is Boardman, of course. 224 Market Street. We're overlooking Southern Park Mall here to the southeast, and so some clouds there, but
yep. I'm going to pan it off to the west because that is the direction that
the incoming
some of
stuff.
that real ragged stuff is moving. And that hard to tell anything because it's
getting dark.
Dark, yeah. But yeah, some ominous sky over the western, looking west.
Yeah, we're just about out of daylight. You know, it's not June anymore. The sunset now is something like
8:20ish or something. Like that?
I think it's closer to 8:45.
Okay.
I think, but it's not 9 o'clock anymore. We're getting far enough away. We're a month away from the solstice, or the solstice at this point. Hard to believe. Summer is going by fast. All right, there's the new warning that includes Columbiana. Just about all of Columbiana in this warning. You're not in the warning down towards East Liverpool in the immediate East Liverpool area. You are in Calcutta, Glenmore, but once you're down towards the river, Wellsville, East Liverpool area, and across the river into the panhandle of West Virginia around Chester, you're not in the warning right now. You probably will be later on, though. So new severe thunderstorm warning covers a good chunk of Columbiana County, and it's a long duration. It's an hour, 9:45. That should be probably the last new warning for most of our viewing area this evening. They might issue one eventually for the far southeastern part and southern part of Columbiana County, but this thing that runs until 9:45 should just about cover the entirety of the rest of the event for most of our southern viewing area. Up in Mahoning County, we just showed you the Boardman camera. Most of this is non-severe in Mahoning right now. Some puffs of wind, but what's coming into the county is definitely more severe. So heads up what's coming in out here towards Craig Beach, Lake Milton, coming into Ellsworth, Berlin, and eventually Austintown, Canfield. This is the severe part of the line. This stuff that's out towards Youngstown, North Lima, New Middletown, places like that, mostly sub-severe at this point. Let's take another look at that Cleveland radar data. Yeah, pockets of strong wind, no doubt. So everywhere on this where you see those brighter reds and pinks, that's where the strong winds are, and you can see the direction it's heading. So heads up in Austintown, Canfield, Ellsworth, and eventually Salem and points around there. And we don't want to forget about our friends in far southern Trumbull as well, closer to Girard, Mineral Ridge, and we could get grazed by this heavier pocket of wind as well, the closer you are to Youngstown, including, again, the Austintown area and the west side of Youngstown. Andrew has occasionally been mentioning the power outage numbers. They are mostly still in the hundreds in Trumbull and Mercer, but we've had a scattering of wind damage reports, certainly, including in western Mercer County and the eastern part of the county. Thankfully, we have not gotten a report of any sort of tornado touchdown, where we did have a brief tornado warning earlier in southeastern parts of Mercer County. We've had a big day for severe weather, though, closer to Cleveland and up into Michigan, into Indiana as well. Michael in Columbiana mentions that a little bit of wind, not much thunder and lightning, but the outflow boundary feels great. I'm sure it does. In Columbiana and Salem and places like that, though, you're probably not out of the woods just yet. This stuff off to the west may very well impact you here as we head into the 9 o'clock hour. Still a lot of lightning and thunder, though. Kent, Ravenna, a lot of Portage County. It's a vivid lightning show back here. I mean, it covers up most of the cities on the map, so look at all the lightning. Barberton, Akron, Cuyahoga Falls, Chippewa, places like that. Tons and tons of lightning, and probably some hail still going on as well. Show you the hail tracker here. Yeah, at least some P's. Probably, the hail threat overall is probably diminishing with time as this congeals into more of just a straight line wind event, and it gets to be, post-sunset. Oftentimes, hail becomes less of a thing once we lose the heating of the day and head into the evening hours. They're going to discontinue that original tornado warning out into parts of Wayne County.
And something that to keep an eye on is this ball of wind moving close to 60 miles per hour. This is just off to the east of Craig Beach, Newton Falls, Lordstown, and this is going to move through the Austintown area. Even downtown Youngstown will get in on a little bit on this. It's moving almost southeast, or almost directly southeast. And there could be some gusty winds kind of on the southwest edges of this ball of wind that'll move through the Ellsworth area, the Canfield area, and push towards further along the Route 224 corridor. Yeah,
a lot of wind for sure. So heads up again, a lot of northern Mahoning County, western Mahoning County, southern Trumbull County as well. Cleveland, the Weather Service office has started chipping away at the watch. As we've been mentioning, would be the case. So they've started discontinuing some of their northern counties. I would suspect the next tier of counties to be discontinued from the watch would include Trumbull, probably sometime in the 9 o'clock hour. And I would expect parts of Mercer to be discontinued before too much longer, probably, again, before the 9 o'clock hour is through. The rest of our area, certainly by 10 o'clock or so, I think we're pretty much out of the woods. So that process has begun. The National Weather Service has started chopping away or discontinuing the watch for areas that are in the clear for severe weather this evening. And I do think you're in the clear at this point in parts of our viewing area. Again, if you're watching us from northern Trumbull County, still getting some flashes of lightning and some rain, but I don't think you'll see severe weather from here on out in Farmington and Mesopotamia and Bloomfield and Bristol and Mecca and Gustavus and Kinsman and Greenville and all those places in between. But in southern Trumbull County, it's a different deal. We've got some wind pushing through right now Lordstown, south side of Warren, heading down towards Lordstown and eventually, again, down towards Austintown into the Youngstown area as well. Let's look at a couple of our ODOT cameras. This is 76 and 80. Again, it's getting dark, so these are becoming less useful, but you can see it's definitely raining there. And this is 80 and 193 near Liberty. Again, be a little bit fuzzy because it's getting to be dark out.
Even if you're in an area where there's not necessarily a severe thunderstorm warning, this heavy rain is going to cause problems not only on the visibility side on some of these major roads, but there could be some minor flooding, some ponding. Chris is on his way to Sharon. Just passed along a report of some ponding on roadways along 62 and I-80 in Hubbard.
So 62 and I-80 in Hubbard, some ponding on the roadways. We've got Chris Sarinelli and Corey McCrae kind of roving the viewing area this evening, gathering reports and video, so we can do a full recap on 21 News at 11 tonight, and passing along what they're seeing to us, which is very, very valuable. And thanks to everyone who's been passing along reports to us on social media as well. When we're doing these live coverage things, sometimes it's hard to see every single comment, of course, but we appreciate it all, and we definitely go through it when we can. Getting a report on Facebook of tornado sirens going off in Alliance. Again, if that's anything like some of the sirens we heard earlier, that may be fire department activity and not a true tornado siren, but there is no tornado warning in Alliance.
Just outside of Alliance, though, I mean, these winds are really picking up. I'm going to go ahead and throw the queer. This is just outside of 224 in the Suffield area near Lakemore. This is, of course, west of our viewing area. 65 mile per hour winds, right around there, 60 to 65 mile per hour winds from Atwater to Suffield, south to Marlboro at 619, pushing close to the Alliance, Lexington area. And then that will continue to push off to the southeast, likely impacting Alliance, portions of Columbiana County, just outside of the Salem area, and then continue to move off to the southeast of that.
Yeah, a lot of wind, as Andrew just mentioned. So if you're hearing tornado sirens back towards Alliance, there's no tornado warning, but there's a lot of wind coming in, no doubt. And it's hard to say if those tornado sirens are being activated because they think a tornado is imminent or because of fire department activity. But there is no tornado warning. But a severe thunderstorm warning definitely warranted, and there's a lot of wind.
Yep, wind right now moving through the Lordstown, Mineral Ridge area, and likely getting a bit breezy towards Austintown too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty severe winds. Definitely severe thunderstorm warning criteria being met here, coming into Austintown, Mineral Ridge area, Lordstown. Just a reminder of the definition of a severe thunderstorm. These things do have definitions, or criteria, if you will. It's kind of a weird one in that it's 58 miles per hour and not 60, but that is technically the definition of a severe thunderstorm, a storm that contains wind gusts of 58 miles per hour or greater, hail of 1 inch in diameter or larger, and or a tornado. That's what makes up a true severe thunderstorm. In the weather business, we're all about criteria, numbers. Sometimes it seems like those numbers are kind of arbitrary, but they're those numbers for a reason. Typically, when you see wind gusts of up to 58 miles per hour or so, that's enough to cause more than just a tree branch down here and there. That's enough to cause some more substantial damage. And don't forget, a low-end EF0 tornado that starts at 65 miles per hour. So a 60 mile per hour wind gust from a thunderstorm is not much different than a 65 mile per hour wind from a tornado, in that the impacts can be generally the same on trees and structures and things like that. Wind, as they say, is wind.
And we've been talking a little bit about the flood threat, which has kind of been overshadowed by the damaging wind threat, even the isolated tornado threat. But the rainfall has been no joke. In Akron, a report coming into the National Weather Service in Cleveland, preliminary report coming in about some dugouts flooded at Canal Park. Standing water and a few inches there. So this rainfall, especially off to our west, rainfall rates of close to 3 inches. Locally, they've been 1 inch to 2 inches. Some pretty serious rainfall moving across the area in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, and here's just some radar estimates over towards the Akron area. A lot of places have probably seen a couple or even a few inches worth of rain this evening in our TV viewing area. And again, these are radar estimates. We've probably seen widespread 2 inches or so worth of rain across a good chunk of Trumbull and Mercer counties. These are radar estimates. We'll take a look at some of the rain gauges here in a little while. But 2 inch plus rainfall amounts probably fairly common in our northern viewing area.
And Cleveland also continued the tornado warning outside of our viewing area for Stark and Wayne County until 9:15. they're identifying a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado that was located near the Dalton area, which is 13 miles west of Canton, moving southeast at 13 miles per hour. So that'll miss us here.
Yeah, I think that'll be a miss for us. Of immediate concern, though, is definitely the wind. I mean, this is some pretty impressive-looking wind on the radar data, both in our viewing area and just west of our viewing area. So this activity right here, Mineral Ridge, Austintown, Lordstown, this corridor, we're seeing 50-plus mile-per-hour wind gusts through there. So be ready for this as it comes to the south and east. Take this seriously.
Yep.
And we'll keep a close eye on our rooftop weather station here in Youngstown, because this pocket of heavier wind may move over downtown Youngstown here before too much longer. The worst of it may just miss us to the south and be aimed more towards the Boardman area, in which case hopefully we'll get a good look at it on our Boardman camera. The other pocket of strong winds just west of our viewing area and coming into our viewing area, extreme western Mahoning County, and then heading into the Alliance area around Lexington. And yeah, the radar is picking up on some wind gusts here of 60-plus miles per hour around 183 near the Alliance area. This is near Route 225. If you've ever gotten off 224 down 225 to catch 62 and head into the kind of the North Canton area, this is kind of where that area is. And yeah, they're getting some pretty bad wind through there right now. And this is coming into Mahoning County, so heads up in Sebring and Beloit, and probably eventually the Salem area as well. And as we talked about earlier, the severe thunderstorm warning that encompasses a good chunk of Columbiana County runs all the way until 9:45 this evening. And it may be one of the last severe thunderstorm warnings issued for our area this evening, because by 9:45 this line will be on the verge of probably pushing out of our television viewing area. Maybe in far southern Columbiana it's still hanging around. Yeah, big time thunderstorm though, impacting a lot of extreme southern Trumbull and a lot of Mahoning County here over the next half an hour or so. So be ready. Make sure you've secured any loose outdoor items if you still have not done so in places like Canfield and Boardman, in the greater Youngstown area, Austintown. If you aren't going to get soaked, if you've still got a chance anyway, head outside and grab any of those toys that may be laying around the yard. Good idea to make sure that trampoline is not going to go flying. Sometimes we see trampolines in trees with wind events like this. And so we need to take this seriously and treat it about the same as a low-end tornado. It's not a tornado, but it is a high-end wind event coming through the Austintown area right now. I hear raindrops on the roof here at the station. The Niles camera showing all the vivid lightning still in southern parts of Trumbull County. Let's take that Boardman camera and swing it back around to the western sky facing towards Canfield. And maybe, since we can't see much in the sky, let's pan down and catch more of 224.
Right.
As this wind tries to push in, let's see if we can catch a lot of that action coming up here before too much longer.
Trying to get some of those trees and the stuff to see with it being so dark, but
again, take this pretty seriously. Treat it as if it were a low-end EF0 tornado pushing through. If you're watching us from western Mahoning County around Sebring, or kind of the heart of Mahoning County, Austintown, Canfield, over towards Youngstown, and eventually the Boardman, Poland area gets in on this as well. Anywhere you see these pink colors on our radar display here, these are winds of probably at least 50 miles per hour being picked up by the radar. And those are strong enough winds to certainly down some tree limbs, and maybe even whole trees in some cases. Can cause power outages, can blow loose items around. winds of that speed can definitely do that. The other ball of wind, if you will, is this stuff that's moving through Alliance right now, coming into Sebring. And this is aimed more towards the Salem area and other parts of northwestern Columbiana County, and probably eventually, and it's going to take a little while, but eventually Lisbon in the heart of Columbiana County, the central part of the county as well. All clear from severe. We're going to give you the all clear for the night, though, up into the northern half of Trumbull County, the northern half of Mercer County. If you're watching us from, say, a line from Southington over to Johnston, Mecca, Kinsman, Greenville, New Lebanon, places like that, you're in the clear for the night in terms of severe weather. And the severe thunderstorm watch will be discontinued probably in the 9 o'clock hour for a good chunk of that area, our northern viewing area. But we are not out of the woods at all, though, in Mahoning County and Columbiana County, parts of Lawrence County as well. Take another look at that.
Yeah, I'm working on zooming in here a little bit. You can tell, I mean, this is Market Street and 224. You could tell, I don't even need to zoom in a whole lot. You could tell by the street lights behind you, or in the distance,
Yep.
How strong that wind is and how heavy that rain is coming down. You can tell on the road as well.
And you can see all the vivid lightning
Yes.
flashes as well.
I'm going to go ahead and zoom back to 224 and Market Street looking west. Give you that shot, what it looks like at the intersection. And rain coming down real good. That wind is whipping, and that was a tornado warning continuing for Stark County. Yep.
That's out towards Massillon.
Yep. And we did get a report of a funnel somewhere in the area. This was about an hour ago. I'm working to get the details on that.
Okay.
So it looks like, if I had to guess, it was somewhere in Trumbull County. I'll work to get the specifics there, but it probably was right along that line that moved into Mercer County that was eventually warned. So this isn't a current situation, but just a report of something that happened earlier in the evening.
All right, so big mean line of thunderstorms pushing through right dead smack in the middle of our viewing area right now. This is, slicing through the central part of our viewing area, and eventually the southern part of our viewing area will get in on the act. And the farther north you are, the better the rest of your night will be. But it's going to be a little bit bumpy here and noisy and windy for another probably half an hour in a lot of Mahoning County, and over the next probably hour to hour and 15 minutes down into Columbiana County. Lawrence County over in western PA, you're kind of in the same boat as Mahoning County. A lot of heavy rain, vivid lightning. There's going to be some puffs of wind, no doubt. And it's going to take until well into the 9 o'clock hour before we can give you the all clear in Lawrence County. Wouldn't be surprised if additional flood advisories had to be issued from the National Weather Service at some point for parts of our viewing area. Some of these rainfall rates are pretty tremendous right now.
And Pittsburgh's going to go ahead and continue that warning for Columbiana, as well as Carroll, Tuscarawas County, Beaver, and Lawrence until 9:45. With that considerable tag on it as well.
Mm-hmm. This is 6 hours of lightning data.
It's just really impressive.
It's one of the biggest lightning events I can remember around Ohio. I mean, this happens in the summer sometimes, but not so much this summer. So it's been a little while since we've seen an event like this. So much lightning, and so much of it positive voltage. Very, very dangerous. Currently, when we query all of the lightning, or just about all of it, we're looking at thousands upon thousands of strikes, and about half of them are positive voltage. That is impressive. That's a big percentage of positive voltage strikes. Bill, I believe, again, Bill's up in Kinsman, I think. He has a Tempest, a weather flow Tempest weather station. I have one of those as well, and they have lightning detection. He says he's picked up 410 strikes in the last hour.
Wow.
I believe Bill's in Kinsman, but I might have to check on that. I believe that number, though. I mean, it's as we just showed you, it's really intense, the lightning. The only tornado warning that is ongoing in Ohio right now is out in Stark County, and this is southwest of Canton and just south now of Massillon. Runs until 9:15. This includes the Navarre area. But I do think that particular segment of the line is likely to be a miss for our television viewing area. We've got wind, but I don't see much in the way of any rotation potential right now on the radar data. So that's good news, but the bad news is it's a lot of wind. And it's impacting a large chunk of our viewing area right now. A lot of population centers here, including Canfield, the Boardman area. Poland is coming for you, Youngstown area as well. Sebring, Beloit, and here it comes in Salem. It's knocking on the door in Salem as we speak. Coming into Columbiana here before too much longer as well. Take another look at that Boardman camera. It's hard to see, but you can see, this one tree on the corner of the intersection is blowing around. Not super hard, but it's still raining.
Yeah,
really.
It's very tough to see with it being so dark out, but
Yep.
you can tell how quickly that rain is just kind of waving on the road, how strong that wind is.
Just sheets of rain.
Yep.
Our other active camera right now is in Niles. Let's activate Columbiana on camera 1.
Okay.
So we're going to switch sources here and go down to our traffic circle camera in Columbiana. And this is typically looking south. And at night, this camera has limited utility because this isn't exactly the brightest spot in our viewing area. But we'll be able to see how heavy the rain is and be able to see the vivid lightning from time to time as well. So again, this is Columbiana. I know my banner says Niles, but this is down in Columbiana. We have a camera perched atop the movie theater there along the traffic circle. And it's raining hard, that's for sure. What's our rooftop rain gauge reading up there, Andrew?
0.76.
So we picked up 3/4 of an inch of rain so far here on West Boardman Street in Youngstown. And we can hear it on the roof. It is coming down hard.
And from severe thunderstorm warnings, we have now aerial flood advisories for Mahoning and Trumbull. That's until midnight, and then also flash flood warnings for Butler, Lawrence, and Mercer County until 12:15.
Lots and lots of products being issued. So just to reiterate, we have flash flood warning now, northern half of Lawrence, southern Mercer. And you said a flood advisory for, where was that?
A flood advisory for Mahoning and Trumbull until midnight.
Mahoning and Trumbull flood advisory until midnight. That one's not, there it is right there. It's not, wasn't plotting initially, but see this green outline? Basically, it's northeastern Mahoning and a lot of Trumbull until midnight. And yeah, just real quickly, the radar estimate here around Hubbard's pretty impressive. That's a 3+ inch estimate.
And if you're watching this live stream, listening to us, and you have friends in the Navarre area, National Weather Service in Cleveland says they will most likely not issue another tornado warning. They don't currently plan to warn anything downstream of that, so they'll let it expire when this warning expires here near the Navarre area.
So good news for our friends over in Stark County. It looks like the rotation has weakened out there.
Same with, you were talking about the watches being allowed to expire, and Cleveland's now expiring severe thunderstorm warnings in Portage and Summit and Trumbull County, but they continued the one with a considerable tag for Mahoning and portions of Stark until 9:15.
Okay.
So just along this kind of ball of wind, and once that passes, as you were mentioning, so will the watches and warnings.
Mm-hmm. In fact, just about all of Trumbull County will probably just about give you the all clear. It's still pretty windy, closer to Interstate 80, Liberty area, but just about all of Trumbull we can give you the all clear at this point. Almost all of Mercer as well, the all clear from severe. Extreme southern Mercer, mostly south of I-80, hang in there a little while longer. But if you're north of I-80 in Mercer County, and especially north of 62, I think you're in pretty good shape for the rest of the evening in terms of a threat for severe weather. But again, we have areas we've got pockets of strong winds blowing through parts of Mahoning County right now, where we have these deeper reds and pinks.
Yep.
And the strongest wind being sampled by the radar right now is still off to our west, Louisville area, or just north of Louisville along
70.
44. Yeah, you don't like to see yellow. That's a 70-ish mile per hour gust being estimated by the radar there. north of Canton and Louisville. Now, that specific part of the line may be aimed eventually towards the southern half of Columbiana County, more like this, probably the Route 30 corridor and south. This specific ball of wind may not be a problem up here. You're getting enough wind in Salem and places like that right now, but where it's really bad, up to 70 miles per hour perhaps right now in Louisville, that may be something that is more of a problem for Minerva and New Garden, and eventually heading down towards Summitville and maybe the Hanoverton area as well. If you're watching us from the eastern and southern part of Columbiana County, all is pretty quiet right now. You're going to be some of the last to see the severe weather threat this evening in places like Calcutta and East Liverpool and over towards East Palestine. You're going to have some thunderstorms this evening. You're going to pick up some heavy rain, but it's going to take a little while longer because of the speed of these. They're not exactly pushing to the south with as much speed as I would like, and hence the flood advisories and flash flood warnings that have been issued, because some areas have been seeing some heavy rain now for a while because they're not exactly racing to the south and east. So it's going to be into the 10 o'clock hour before we can give the entire viewing area the all clear at this point, it looks like.
Yeah, and as they slow down, that flooding threat will increase for different areas, especially because we've got heavy rain galore across the area and around the region.
Yeah. Heavy rain. Let's, real quickly, going to over here run our rain gauge program and see what some of the numbers are from actual rain gauges. All right, we have too many graphics. There we go. These are going to be some actual rain gauges.
That was Cleveland expiring the tornado warning for Stark.
These are just a handful of actual rain gauges across our area. Some of these totals, no doubt, are pretty good. Some of them not so great. Let's see, did that actually run? We'll give it a second here to query all the data again, because you said we had 0.7 something on the roof.
Yep, now 0.88.
So we should see our Youngstown total increase here in a moment. Again, these are actual rain gauges across the area, and a few notable numbers here. There's one over towards Canton with 2+ inches, Jackson Center 1.26, and yeah, our number not updating quite yet in Youngstown, but yeah, we've had, we're going to get close to an inch. Probably we're going to eclipse an inch pretty easily here in Youngstown so far. This number up in Mesopotamia seems too low to me. Newton Falls, that may be about right. But yeah, there's been some widespread heavy rain, no doubt, over the last few hours, and you got to use caution if you're going to be out and about in this over the next few hours. All right, so severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 9:45 for most of Columbiana County. The warning in Mahoning County has been allowed to expire or discontinued in the northwestern part of the county. So we're in the clear now up towards Craig Beach. Even Austintown, you're just about in the clear from severe. But we're still in the warning polygon in Canfield and Boardman for another 5 minutes or so. This includes, of course, the rest of southeastern Mahoning County as well. Still not seeing any evidence that we're going to be dealing with any more tornado warnings in the near term. Nothing that catches my eye in terms of rotation right now. But again, we have some pockets of strong wind from Alliance to Salem to the Boardman area over towards New Middletown. 45 to 60 mile per hour winds, pretty common to be sampled on the radar. It's now 9:10. I think we're going to be in the clear from severe in Mahoning County and Lawrence County by about 9:30 to 9:40. And all that will be left in our viewing area is pretty much Columbiana County at that point. And then in Columbiana County, we're probably in pretty good shape early in the 10 o'clock hour, I'd say, at the latest. And if you're watching us in Mercer and Trumbull, you are done for the night in terms of severe weather. It's still raining. There's still some thunder and lightning, especially on your southern horizon. But we're in good shape in terms of the threat for damaging winds and large hail for the night in Trumbull and Mercer counties. Flood warnings are out for parts of those counties, though, flood advisories. And so there's standing water, and caution, no doubt, needs to be exercised. Do we have an update on the power outage numbers, Andrew?
Let me go ahead and refresh that.
Yeah.
So in Mercer County, that number is up to 527. Quick scan. Most of those, the majority of those are coming from the Sandy Lake Township and Borough area, Sugar Grove Township as well. In Ohio, our Ohio counties, of course, nothing in Mahoning right now. In Trumbull is up to 840.
So about 800 in both Trumbull and Mercer? Was the number in Mercer 800?
The number in Mercer was 527. 500. So
okay.
just over 500.
So about 500 or so in Mercer, 800 or so in Trumbull. Nothing yet in Mahoning?
Nothing in Mahoning yet, no.
Okay.
In Medina County, over close to 2,500 are without power. Lake, 5,500 without power. Geauga, 4,800. And Cuyahoga County right now, 31,000 without power.
31,000 without power.
Without power
in Cuyahoga County.
They do serve over 500,000 people in that county.
Boy, you can really see now on the Boardman camera that sideways rain right on the pavement. It is windy.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive. So I know our banner here says Youngstown, but this, of course, is 224 Market Street in Boardman, right by the Walgreens and BJ's and McDonald's and things like that. Very, very impressive stuff. Pittsburgh, the Weather Service office did just issue a fresh severe thunderstorm warning until 10:15, and this probably covers the rest of Columbiana County, is my guess. Oh, it's this new polygon over here that goes all the way down to Pittsburgh and just grazes, the new polygon just grazes Columbiana County. Okay. So, brand new warning until 10:15 all the way down to Pittsburgh. We're still not in a warning down towards East Liverpool and extreme southern Columbiana County, but we probably will be before the hour is through.
Yeah, and that's some strong thunder. We're feeling it here in the Weather Center.
Yeah, I just felt that.
Downtown
yeah.
studio.
That was not my stomach.
Yeah.
All right, so as we just showed you on the camera, we have some sideways rain in Boardman coming down at a very good clip. But, boy, treat this again like a low-end tornado if you're watching us from western Columbiana County, coming into New Franklin right now. I mean, this is a ball of probably 70 to 75 mile-per-hour winds being picked up by the radar here. If you have friends or family who aren't watching this along 172 in Columbiana County, Hanoverton area and points west, give them a heads up. This is a very intense ball of wind coming in. This is, again, Route 172, Minerva area, and just to the north and east of Minerva. Heads up then across Route 30, closer to Hanoverton, New Garden, places like that. And this eventually may be a problem closer to Lisbon. But in the near term, take this one seriously. This is a very intense ball of wind. Perhaps up to 70 miles per hour. That's enough to make a trampoline fly. That's enough to bring down trees, power lines, things like that, and cause damage that is equivalent to an EF0 tornado, which an EF0 tornado on the enhanced scale begins at 65 miles per hour. Used to be called F1, F2. That was when it was the Fujita scale. Now it's the enhanced Fujita scale. The scale changed a little bit about 15 years ago or something like that. So again, take this one seriously. This is hellacious wind.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh expiring that warning for part of Columbiana, and in our viewing area, Lawrence and Mercer, as well as a couple out there.
Okay.
Counties outside of our viewing area.
Okay. Outside of the area I just outlined that's coming into western Columbiana right now, we're getting some strong winds around the Salem area. We're getting some strong winds north Lima, Route 11 area in Mahoning County. Still around Boardman, Beaver, down Route 7 towards North Lima. There's probably some 50-plus mile-per-hour wind gusts in there. And that particular pocket of wind is heading down into the East Palestine area, here momentarily, New Middletown, SNPJ, places like that. Another quick look at our Boardman camera, and then we'll swing over to Columbiana, which is not as well lit as our 224 camera in Boardman, but definitely some heavy rain still falling there. It's just hard to gauge the wind on this camera. We don't have a lot of trees or anything that's real visible that would give us a gauge.
Let me try the banner. Or there's a banner still up in Columbia. Maybe I knew it was going to be tough to see.
Yeah, that street just doesn't get picked up at night real well.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit tough after dark.
Yep.
It's easier to track storms during the day. All right, so let's recap where we are at 9:17. We've had a long 2.5 hours of coverage this evening. We're not quite done yet. We'll be done in most spots by about 10 o'clock, I think. And we've had a scattering of reports of damage, but it hasn't been an overwhelming amount just yet. That may change before the evening is through, but we haven't been inundated with reports of widespread power outages, widespread trees down, all sorts of things like that. The power outages right now, as they stand, number in the hundreds instead of thousands.
They're pretty tame, compared to the surrounding counties that are well into the thousands. As of right now, the county, Mercer and Trumbull County are just into the hundreds. So considering and comparing to some of the other counties around it, not a terrible situation.
Not too bad, and certainly lower impact thus far than a couple of our wind events back in the spring at the end of March and start of April. The last time we truly had severe weather.
Right.
Those power outages did number in the thousands. We thus far have not seen that. But again, we're going to emphasize we need to take this part of the storm particularly seriously in western parts of Columbiana County. There's no evidence of rotation per se, but the radar is picking up very impressive wind gusts of 70 miles per hour plus around New Franklin right now. This is right along the Stark Columbiana line. And so again, take this seriously and take it seriously enough that you may want to consider seeking shelter if you're watching us from western Columbiana County. And we mean mostly the Hanoverton area on west for right now. We'll see how this goes in the next 15 minutes or so. But right now, Hanoverton area on west towards the Stark line, probably a good idea to seek shelter from this and treat it as if it were a tornado warning, because the winds are more than likely very, very much the equivalent of a low-end EF0 tornado screaming out of the west-northwest as we speak. The warning that goes along with that runs until 9:45, so another 25 minutes. We'll no doubt see an additional warning issued beyond that for the rest of Columbiana County, because this won't be done with the county by 9:45. The southern half of the county will probably still be dealing with that, even close to 10 o'clock or so. All clear from severe, though, in Mercer and in Trumbull, and in the northern half, say north of Boardman, say. All clear from severe for the rest of the night in Youngstown, in Austintown, and places like that. And what I mean by that is no more threats of damaging winds or large hail. It's going to be raining. There's still some standing water in some places. There's still a vivid lightning show out there, but your chances of a damaging wind gust or a large hailstone or something like that pretty much over at this point in Youngstown, in Austintown, and points northward in our Ohio counties. And again, over in Mercer County, we're in the clear at this point as well. Probably in the clear in terms of severe over in Lawrence County in the northern areas close to the Mercer County line, New Wilmington area included. Hang in there a little while longer. We can't give you the all clear just yet once you're from Newcastle on south. In Lawrence County, closer to Elwood City, still a big-time thunderstorm moving through there. Down in Columbiana County, we're getting some heavy rain and some vivid lightning. Rogers area, Elk Run, heading over towards East Palestine and Unity. Latonia, Columbiana getting heavy rain right now. Not a tremendous amount of lightning in the central part of the county right now, but the lightning really picks up where we have that wind that really means some business coming across the county line as we speak into western parts of Columbiana County. And we're still getting some heavy rain. You can tell, though, in Boardman that the worst is over. We're not seeing as much in the way of sideways rain, and we're not seeing the sky illuminated quite as much by frequent lightning just yet, or just now, I should say, as we were 15 minutes ago or 20 minutes ago or so. So the worst is over for you in most of the 224 corridor, and certainly north of there. We're in pretty good shape right now as you get up closer to Youngstown. All right, just taking a moment to review some of my social media. Thanks to everyone for chiming in. Even got several mentions on Twitter. Thanks to everyone for chiming in there. Twitter's not as active as it used to be. Twitter's kind of going downhill a little bit, I'm afraid, but it still is a valuable resource. We have a lot of weather spotters and weather enthusiasts and weather weenies, if you will, that are active on Twitter still, and so it's something that still holds a great deal of value for me, even though my time on there is not as, I don't spend as much time on there as I used to because of it's just getting to be a harder product to use, unfortunately. Looks like the last couple of scans, the wind coming into Columbiana County has diminished a little bit. We're still using the Cleveland radar source here. Let's switch over to Pittsburgh. You're going to see the colors flip. Oops, I was using Pittsburgh. I beg your pardon. Let's flip over to Cleveland. I had that backwards. Yeah, we're getting closer to the Pittsburgh radar now, so the data is a little smoother out of Pittsburgh. But yeah, all this blue, even though we're not seeing kind of the yellows anymore, all this blue is 50 plus mile per hour, 60 plus even, coming into the Hanoverton area, coming out of New Franklin, and coming to the east. Looks like the wind is sub-severe at this point. Everywhere north of, say, 165, north of Damascus, north of Beaver, still windy, Washingtonville, Latonia, parts of the Salem area, parts of Beloit, and certainly down here into western parts of Columbiana. And we're still getting some pockets of wind in southern Lawrence County as well. But again, it's just as important in these situations to give people a sense as to when it's clear, and we do want to communicate to you that I'm going to draw a line here, and basically north of that line and just drew, you're done for the night in terms of the threat for severe weather. And that line of clearing will continue working south, certainly over the next half an hour or so. Weather Service office in Pittsburgh is going to continue the current warning in Columbiana until 9:45. It's another 20 minutes on that. All right, so this is where we stand. I'm going to continue the stream for another probably 15 minutes as conditions warrant, and then we're going to have to stop our coverage and get ready for the 11 o'clock newscast, and then, as needed, hop back on if anything new pops up. But right now, with a lot of our population centers starting to be in the clear, we're going to start thinking about wrapping this up before too much longer, especially considering in Columbiana County we're starting to see maybe a little bit of weakening. of some of the activity that's coming into the western part of the county. If you're watching us from western Mahoning, or western Columbiana County, I should say, let me know what you're seeing. Don't put yourself in danger. Don't go out in the middle of your yard in the middle of this. But let me know the conditions you're seeing. Is the power flickering? Or do you see any tree limbs down? That sort of thing. If you're watching from Hanoverton and surrounding places, I know this is pretty rural territory out here in western Columbiana County. But if you happen to be watching this and want to send a report along, make sure you do that on my Facebook, on Twitter. You can send an email. I'll probably get to the emails here in a little bit. But it'd be nice to know if some of this wind that's being picked up on the radar is indeed reality. I suspect in many areas it is. The radar's still sampling 60-plus mile-per-hour wind gusts. Getting a report of a tree down on 9th Street in McDonald. Someone on Facebook wondering about a possible funnel. Not sure where he is, but no, it is not. It's a shadow. Not sure where that was from.
It seemed like the only funnel really this evening came from that Bristol, Gustavus area over towards Mecca that crossed over into Mercer County that was eventually warned. That really does seem like the only funnel that will come to fruition as a true funnel throughout the entire evening. The rest of it's either been scud or just kind of some ominous looking clouds. Plenty of shelf clouds galore.
Yep.
So.
Lots of different types of clouds for sure. And yeah, we had one picture of probably a wall cloud briefly in northeastern Trumbull, and that was close to 7 o'clock. That was well over 2 hours ago. Otherwise, again, we talked about this. These are big, mean storms, and we still have to take this pretty seriously in Columbiana County in particular. But so far, the numbers of severe reports and the number of power outages have been a little lower than I would have expected given the strength of a lot of these storms.
Yeah, lightning can do a lot of damage. I know that firsthand. I live in Canfield, very close to the Village Green, and I remember the damage it did on the Village Green. Mm-hmm. One lightning strike. And,
basically exploded a tree, right?
It did. It exploded a tree. It completely incinerated a tree. And I heard the thunder, or I saw a flash, and then very quickly heard that thunder. Mm-hmm. Very, very quickly. And knew it was a big deal, and it was. So these positive lightning strikes are those more dangerous lightning strikes that we often talk about, and these are thousands of strikes, really since the time this developed. Mm-hmm. In the afternoon. It developed off towards portions of eastern Michigan, really moved across Michigan, and then continued to be very strong since the early hours of the afternoon.
Yeah, it's been really, really intense. And again, one of the better lightning shows we've seen in a while in our region as a whole. This is the current lightning at 9:29, but putting a loop on this over the last, say, 5 hours, look at all that lightning crossing Lake Erie, crossing the western part of the state, and now moving through the heart of our viewing area. And so much of it has that positive voltage, which makes it extra, extra dangerous.
And this is the second severe system this summer to start in that same area. The first one was a couple of weeks ago. It didn't impact us other than some non-severe, some sub-severe thunderstorms. But there was even a few confirmed tornadoes. That was the instance where there was, I think, 9 confirmed tornadoes touched down from where that line started through portions of northern central Ohio, eastern Ohio. But this is the second severe system to start in that same area.
Yeah, and a lot of the action, of course, has missed us this spring, but we've been in a general pattern across the U.S. where the heat has been centered in the southwest and the southern plains, and that pattern has produced a lot of heat out there, and it's produced more of a northwesterly flow across the Great Lakes and into the Ohio Valley. That's done a couple of things. It's kept us not that hot. I wouldn't say cool, but our summer as a whole temperatures have been pretty close to average, even a little below average at times. It's also kept a pretty active storm track across parts of the Great Lakes. It just so happens that our viewing area has gotten missed a lot in recent weeks. And before today, we had hardly any severe weather at all, dating back well over 2 months. It's been about 10 weeks since we've had a legitimate severe weather day across our viewing area. But other places have not been so lucky. It's been an active storm track in parts of the Midwest, the Great Lakes states as well. Still sampling 65, 70 mile per hour gusts. This now coming into the central part of Columbiana County. Weather Service meteorologist in Pittsburgh mentioning that the storms are becoming more parallel to the shear vector, meaning it will start to lose those forward gust surges that were initially being seen. And so that means we'll probably see some diminishing severe weather threats. The slowing forward momentum may increase flash flood risks. So yeah, in plain English, basically what we're talking about here is a lowering wind risk once we get through what we're about to get through in Columbiana County, but increased chance for flash flooding. Thankfully for our viewing area, this isn't likely to be a big problem for most of our viewing area. This could be more of a problem in terms of flash flood threat for the rest of the night in the Pittsburgh area, in the Wheeling area, Steubenville, places like that. In our television market, our viewing area, we're going to be done with the heavy rain in Columbiana County probably by about 10 o'clock. But it could be a long night for a time down towards I-70.
And as you mentioned, Eric, these severe thunderstorm watches would be quickly expired once this line moves through. Mahoning, Trumbull, and our viewing area out of the woods now as far as the severe thunderstorm watch is concerned. Out of our viewing area, Ashland, Crawford, Holmes, Knox, Marion, Medina, Morrow, Portage, Richland, Stark, Summit, and Wayne also no longer under severe thunderstorm watch.
Pittsburgh has not started to clear counties from their from the watch just yet, but we can go ahead and say in Mercer County you're done for the night in terms of severe weather. Out of our viewing area, but Venango County, same thing. Cleveland is just being a little bit more diligent right now in terms of clearing counties as the severe threat ends. So in our Ohio counties, the only county left that has a severe weather risk is Columbiana. In Pennsylvania, it's just Lawrence at this point. Even though Mercer, you're still technically in the watch, it really should be discontinued at this point. So the only game in town in our Ohio counties still is in Columbiana County, but it is quite a game. I mean, we have some pretty big thunderstorms with a lot of lightning and some heavy rain, certainly, a flood threat, and a wind threat as well. Yeah, Lisbon area. Here it comes. All these kind of teals coming through. This is a pocket of wind that will be enough to blow things around and perhaps do some damage and bring down tree limbs and that sort of thing. So heads up in the Lisbon area, West Point, Elk Run, and eventually, as we head towards the 10 o'clock hour, eventually the eastern part of the county and the southeastern part of the county will get in on it as well. Looks like this is going to clip Salineville, the Route 39 corridor in southern Columbiana County, heading over towards Highlandtown, Yellow Creek, places like that. But yeah, we can just stop the radar loop here and just sample a few spots right around Lisbon, and a lot of wind. And again, if you're watching us from the Lisbon area, let us know what you're seeing. Are you seeing these kinds of wind gusts? Is the rain blowing sideways? Tag me on Facebook or Twitter and let us know what is going on. Your eyes, you are eyes and ears out there. We have all this fancy equipment and technology, but sometimes the best thing is just hearing what our viewers are actually seeing. That is invaluable information. All right, so we're going to babysit this as it goes through Lisbon, and then we are going to stop the live stream for the night, and I'm going to gather all the reports and information and emails and stuff and get ready for 21 News at 11, and I'll post a few more times on social media, of course, as conditions warrant, to let you know what's going on in Columbiana County. But again, if you're watching us from Mahoning County, in Trumbull County, and Mercer County, you are done for the night in terms of a severe weather risk. We've got a much nicer forecast for Friday and the weekend. It'll be less humid. It'll feel really nice tomorrow afternoon, middle 70s. Southern Lawrence County, not quite out of the woods just yet. Northern Lawrence County, you are out of the woods at this point. But if you're watching us from basically anywhere in Columbiana County, but especially central and southern Columbiana County, we're going to have to hang in there through the bottom of the hour here, through the second half of the 9 o'clock hour, and then we can probably give you the all clear there as well. We're querying the wind gusts here, but the rainfall rates are also, quite impressive with this. And so no doubt there's going to be some instances of ponding on roadways and things like that. We're getting some radar estimates here of 2-inch per hour rates, 3-inch per hour rates. It's not going to be like that for a full hour, but that's the rate in which the rain is falling, and that can be too much for some gutters to handle, some storm drains and systems like that. So yeah, in especially flood-prone areas, no doubt we're seeing some issues right now in Columbiana County, as we have in other parts of our area this evening. We've seen a few flash flood warnings and flood advisories issued over the last few hours. All right, so the Weather Service is going to... What are they doing there? They're continuing severe thunderstorm warning until 9:45 for that original Columbiana County warning. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they have to issue one more warning covering kind of this zone down through here after this line comes through Lisbon. Oops. Pockets of strong wind still from Summitville to Lisbon, Elk Run area. You're in the clear now in far western Columbiana County around Hanoverton. In Salem, you're in the clear. Columbiana, you're in the clear at this point. And points north, you've been in the clear for a little while now.
And as far as power outages go, Eric, the Mercer County numbers have not increased. 530 is where they are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll check the Mahoning County, nothing has come in. As far as Trumbull goes, they're close to 700, 660 plus. And then we're going to go to Columbiana here to see if any reports have come in. So far, just 95 in Columbiana.
Okay.
Most of those coming in Hanover Township.
So, the power outage numbers remain fairly modest,
right,
for this type of event. I thought they would be in the thousands in a lot of counties, but so far so good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Andrew. Well, with that, I think we're going to call it a night on the live stream. 3 hours is just about enough. And we'll get ready for 21 News at 11. If you're going to be up late tonight, be sure and watch us on the news. We'll have a full recap of what happened today. We'll compile, I should say. A lot of talking over the last 3 hours. All the numbers and have an updated forecast on what to expect for the rest of tonight and into tomorrow. Again, hang in there a little while longer and take this seriously in parts of central and southern Columbiana County. We've got some wind and some heavy rain still yet to push through. And once it clears the East Liverpool area and our far southern viewing area, our viewing area will be completely done for the night in terms of a severe weather risk. So I'll see you tonight on 21 News at 11. Thanks for hanging with us, those who have been watching us on this live stream.